The big thing that you know you're going to get out of Virtus.pro is a very structured, disciplined game. I mentioned the map picks for them. We've seen 100% win rate through EML on Border, 50-50 on Chalet. They lost to Macko, interestingly enough, so it could be a big finale if we get to that decider. The big question here for me really is Leia. I think if Virtus.pro come away with Leia, they probably win the thing in 2. Macko need to get this map, but we haven't seen Macko play it either. So is it one that Macko have been holding on to and hiding? Or is it not? You know, do they like it as little as Virtus.pro like it? But hey ho, we'll just go there and see what happens. Really no ideas coming into this one.
One thing I will say is, just like G2 said about Bank when they took Virtus.pro there, was, look, we scrimmed them about 50 times on this map. Obviously, what you see in the official domain is one thing, but what happens on the other days when the broadcasts aren't live, when teams are getting their practice in, is they get to play each other on a number of maps. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Virtus.pro at some point do have to play on those maps in scrims that they don't hate. Teams will often say you want to practice these maps, looking for a team that wants to practice them. You'll say yes or no, and I imagine Virtus.pro will have stepped onto them at some point to see, you know, can we actually play them? There is just no way that at this level of the game you can simply refuse to ever play these 3 maps. They will have scrimmed on it, and more likely than not, scrimmed Macko on it as well. So there'll be some intuition, some inkling that Macko have got here, I think. Whether or not it's enough to bring them down, I'm not so sure. Let's see how things shape up. We're going to start things up on the top floor. Macko on attack, VP on the defense. And this is for that spot tip. Let's not forget, in our next round in the upper bracket, the loser falls down to the lower bracket.
I mean, we've also got to think about expectations here as well. And for me, coming into this, there is clearly more pressure on Virtus.pro. Macko have come in. It's their first stage at Tier 1. They've finished top 5. They've had a great stage. Not always on top in the stats, as they pointed out on the desk, but they've got the job done, the points on the board, and they've got themselves up there. So I feel like, I'm not saying it's a freebie. I'm not saying it's a bonus game for them. It doesn't matter. Of course it matters what happens. They want to get the win. They want to proceed in the upper bracket, but I feel like their point has kind of been proved here, so they can come in here and think, right, let's just go at them. Whereas Virtus.pro, there's more expectation there. I think, you know, before the stage started, their sights will have been set much further down the line in terms of a higher place finishing, you know, in these playoffs. So definitely more pressure on them for me.
I'll see if that pressure builds up throughout the game, or whether it seems like a pretty straightforward run for either side. I think it's very fair for many to look at this game and go, for Virtus.pro not to win it, given how they've played throughout the stage, it feels like a bit of a steal, but Macko have just got that little X factor about them that can cause a bit of surprise. Anyway, for now, Macko have been burning their way through a lot of utility. You've seen those Rotero drones raining on through, barbed wire, bulletproof, you name it, it's all being chewed up and spat out. So for Virtus.pro, that line of defense that lines the outside of the building, it is being brought inwards, and that's how we're going to see what the players themselves can actually do. We've seen so many of them go massive this stage. Pasha and Always, the 2 names that really spring to mind. For me though, Tim, my main focus today is Joystick's entry record. He has got probably the worst entry record globally, which sounds dead weird to say about Joystick. Like, he's an amazing player, but his entry is absolutely atrocious. I'll get the exact numbers in a second, but I want to see how often he's the first man going down in this series.
Macko have actually done a brilliant job of burning through the utility here. 1 minute 30 left in the round, and they've already seen Always use all of the toxic babes to try and hold that Blackbeard at bay, to try and stop them pushing. When you're attacking this top floor site, you've got 3 avenues that you can work in towards site from, and I like to see at least 2 of those used, because you want to keep those defenders guessing. At the minute, Macko really stacking up towards this R6 room side, but as I've said, more utility being cleared. They're starting to get closer to site. They're starting to get into a position to start hassling them. They could just do, and there it is. I was going to say, with a little bit of attention elsewhere, they've got themselves on the bathroom side as well now. They're going in there. This is where Virtus.pro need to step up, and it's Shepard and Always a killer piece, and it's looking good for Virtus.pro in round 1.
This is why I think it's going to be so hard to clutch up against this team, Tim. Not that they were in a spot to clutch in this round, but you're coming up against some of the best in the business as well. The composure they have, it's like playing against the machine. So rarely do you see them make big critical mistakes, and the way they played that round there was beautiful. Sit back, don't feel the need to get leery and get over aggressive and peek onto windows and doorways. Let them clear through the utility. They've got 25 seconds left. They push in, we're then ready to go. That first swing coming out, they had no idea the man was there, and they just picked them off one at a time without losing a single player. That's the level of competition that you're now against, now that we're into these best of 3s. They're going to be so well drilled today, and I think we're going to have to see Macko here try something a bit special in some of these rounds if they're going to come out ahead.
I kind of feel for Macko after that round. That is like absolutely like the stereotypical round against Virtus Pro, where Macko have done loads of stuff really well there. They've cleared a ton of utility. As I said, they've gone through those smoke canisters by the halfway mark. They've got themselves set up on opposite sides of the bomb site. You know, they're ticking a lot of boxes on that attack, and still it's a flawless round to Virtus Pro. And this is the problem with playing against Virtus Pro. You can come in, you can do things right, you can do things well, and sometimes it's just not enough. It's out of your hands, and Virtus Pro proved it there. Shepard and Always standing up beautifully to that pincer attack coming from either side, just took them apart.
All right. Now you've got the taste of the first round. Now we're going to see if Macko can wise up in the second one and get something done and over the line. Virtus Pro instead heading down to our second floor, first floor. Honestly, it gets me every time just thinking about the difference between like British and American like flooring. Actually, I can't. What's it like around Europe? Can you think of that? Do they have like a ground floor in Europe, or do they just go first floor as well?
I think they use ground floor. I'm thinking back to our time in Paris and France. And
yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I'm pretty sure that first floor was first floor. It was not the ground floor. It was the It was the first one you'd get off at if you got in, and you'd still need an elevator or a lift to the first floor or stairs.
Jab in position.
Honestly, you go so back and forth on this stuff. But yes, we've headed down to the first floor. And down here, of course, you'd normally see some kind of vertical hold going on. And by the red outlines that you can see on your screen, we have got a couple of players up there. I think you've got Joystick up there. We've got a second player hovering up there as well. It's going to be Pasha holding things down. Always two. So 3 of them to clear their way through. Macko could try and ignore that and go direct to site, but we've seen it go wrong so many times, Tim. This has become the new sort of meta for attacking this site now, where you've got the Blackbeard lining up. You find yourself with Teb on the Sens, for example, lining up, tossing down a couple of those light screens, planting just inside the door towards the left, because you are then still protected from those vertical angles, and without anything like a warden on the other side, they can toss maybe a C4 at you and a couple of impacts or shoot very, very blindly, but it is a bit of a risk.
What I will tell you is that they need to get the electricity off this wall. They've just sent a nade in. It was unsuccessful. Wall still electrified. Dora still hanging around on the thermite, looking to try and get that exothermic on the wall, get it detonated. If Macko don't get that wall open, there's not going to be any planting inside of this site, I wouldn't imagine, because then they have to go in through a single door, and Virtus Pro should be able to deal with that. That said, with a clever placement of the Sense gadgets, maybe Macko can find themselves a little bit of room.
Maybe, just maybe. But they've got to be able to get away with it, though, Tim. And so far, Virtus Pro doing the same thing as last round. They're just running the clock down. They're very happily sat back and waiting for Macko to make the move. But you can't play slow against Virtus Pro. They will beat you at that game every single day of the week. Pasha, here we go, stepping his way around as well, hoping to maybe catch someone out of position here. But they're already starting to try and make it happen. One impact comes out, still got 2 in back pocket. And we've only got 1 light screen left, Tim. This is not looking good.
No, it's not. We've got to get this one right. It's got to be effective. 30 seconds left to go. No kills yet. Dan's going to take a little bit of damage through the soft surface, but not enough to really move him. And 20 seconds left to go. Macko just going to have to think about diving in, and this is where Virtus Pro come alive on the defense now. They start pushing and prodding, checking the flanks, hitting them on the sides. 4 versus 2 now as Shepard gets another. Pasha joins in on the fun as well, and this attack is over for Macko. Akko is going to have to just try and drop into sight. Doesn't even get the opportunity. It's Joystick to find him. Virtus Pro looking very comfortable on the defensive layer, and that should be ringing alarm bells even after 2 rounds for Macko, because those maps that are coming up are pretty favourable to Virtus Pro. They need a win on there.
All right, time for Dez's first hot take of the night. I actually think Macko are losing this game to themselves. They're not losing it to Virtus Pro. And it's not to say that Virtus Pro aren't playing the map well. They've shown they can play Lair. Cool. My biggest worry is, like I said during the round, Macko hesitated 4 or 5 times on this doorway. They've used every single light screen. Watched you get impacted out. Not toss down a smoke, for example, to try and make a play happen instead. And then let Joystick flank them, as you've just seen there with the final kill on towards Akko. He was up there sooner as well. They've largely sat there and waited for Virtus Pro to beat them. The flanks coming out of Pasha, for example. It's very rare that you see Virtus Pro being the ones that go, all right, lads, I'm really bored now. I'm going for a little cheeky roam here and see what I can find. But they send 2 players out. They get a few kills between them. Macko is sitting there waiting to be beaten, and you cannot play like that against Virtus Pro. Now, I'm not saying the answer is let's just rush our socks off in the next round here and run down Virtus Pro while there's still 2.5 minutes on the clock, but we have got to see them move a little bit quicker. Take some risks if you've got to, because playing this slow, composed style of Siege is just playing the way that Virtus Pro want you to play Siege.
Yeah, like you say, you know, the basics. They've got to be getting the basics done quickly, getting that wall open, giving yourself some space. Moving, again, I'll come back to how bothered with Virtus Pro on the defense there. Not very. They were able to just play their positions. I say it time and time again. Defenders will naturally play in what they see as the strongest position for that site. And all 5 of them are going to do that. They're playing into their own utility. You have to get them moving. You have to disrupt them. You have to get them into position 2, position 3. Force them to play these more unconventional spots where they don't have that cover from the teammate, where they don't have that utility to work behind. And that's something that Macko have not been able to do so far. Virtus Pro have been very, very calm, very, very able to just stay where they want.
Sure. Well, hopefully it changes a little bit here. We've got a lot of vertical destruction to help get some control over the site itself to hopefully restrict Virtus Pro. Not give them as much freedom of movement, although as it stands right now, they've got a lot of that. Tim, a couple of players hanging up here on this first floor before they'll slip away and join the rest of their team downstairs. They cannot afford to lose. Lolo here is the key thing that I will say, Tim. He's going to be that one in the later round that's going to rush down a player, push them back, and let a plant go down with support coming in from above, from the buck and the sledge as well. So losing players here will be so painful.
Been using the shields a lot so far, Macko as well. We've seen Blackbeard, we've now got Blitz being brought along, and honestly, again, not getting much joy from it. They've got to get more value out of that operator and use it to bully these Virtus Pro players. Virtus Pro have been more than happy to play into those shields. They've dealt with them pretty well so far. Lolo, 0 and 2, really struggling to get involved in the game. 1 minute 10 left on the clock as I finish saying this, and Virtus Pro, again, still looking very comfortable, Des. They haven't been forced to move yet. Even with these verticals getting opened up, they are still pretty much in those prime spots that they started at the beginning. This is a really important battle now. You can't be losing Aqui to the shotgun. They get the trade. It's Dora that comes in and finds the kill. 4 versus 3 now, but it's still a big loss with that puck going down.
I mean, getting 2 kills is great because Lolo sucks in all the attention there, and it's actually been the swing from Dora, who was with him, that got the trade back the other way. So a nice turnaround for them. Yes, you've lost 1 player to the shotgun. You'll still take the 4 versus 3 that you're in because it's the closest you've been so far. Prior to this round, Tim, they only had 1 kill to their name. They've doubled that in this round alone, and now it's time to press on forward and get the close done.
Yeah, time's going to become a factor here. 20 seconds and you feel like they're unsure if they're being hit on the flank. Maybe there's a lack of intel with only 3 drones left up. The diffuser is going to go down. No! Big kill from Joystick. Just in the absolute closest manner that he could. 2 versus 1. Can he hold on? 5 seconds left to go. They're going to have to search for the kills here. They know exactly which desk he's in behind, but Joystick is just going to hold his position, and he's going to hold on. Somehow Virtus Pro lock it out in a 1v1.
I hate how he's got that kill with the pistol at the end there as well. That should not be happening, man. He's dropped him and given a lifeline by not getting taken down by the first few shots that came out, but then looked completely lost as to where the shots were coming from. It's hard because Macko have done pretty well there. Dora getting that 2K off the back of the shield push. That was great. They've given themselves such a brilliant numbers advantage. There's no C4s you've got to worry about, no impacts. But even with the vertical control they had, even with the Blitz being the one getting the diffuser down, still no support available, and they pay the price. It's been close though. I think that round is much better from Macko. Want to see more of that going into our next 3, but they sorely need to start getting rounds on the board right now. Those first 2 rounds, a shutout for Virtus Pro. Maybe now we see the Italians battle their way back in.
Yeah, going to see the tack timeout come along. Just needing to put a pause on this. And again, it's another round like the first round. I said I felt for Macko a bit losing that first round. Kind of feel for him a little bit there as well. Wasn't too sure about the challenge onto the shotgun on the stairs, but they got it done. They came away with a 2-body advantage, and it got them down and in towards site. But again, it was just a little bit too much to do with too few seconds to get it done. It was 25-ish remaining on the clock before they started pushing in. And as I've always said, it gives you 1 roll of the dice. That's the big problem. You know, it has to work that time. And when it doesn't, when you've got a player like Joystick who will hit that pistol shot and will get that kill inside of sight, you don't have any opportunity to go for a second shot at it, to go for another chance. And it was the big problem for them. Ultimately, hold on, you're just round that corner. Oh!
Yeah, heartbreaker, real heartbreaker. Could have been the moment they got themselves started, but alas. And now we go back up to that top floor, Tim. We go back into that second quarter of the game, as I often call it. We're going to see those same three sites again. We've had the attack timeout. Macko here should have a game plan to get this one over the line. However, you're also going to see Vertus Pro change things up. You've got Shepherd going across onto the Shanky. You've got Always stepping onto the smoke. Still a lot of store to play behind when you also pair it up with the Goyo canisters, for example. It's the pace that's the problem, not so much the operator picks for Macko. And yes, operator picks can enable that pace. We saw it a little bit with the blitz at points to help them get control of stairs, for example. I'm just a bit nervous that they aren't going to have enough control with what they've got. They're trying to make a set piece play happen with this Glaz in play from Teb. Just don't know if it's going to be enough.
Got the drones set up already, so going to be assisting on getting somebody inside of the building as well, I would imagine. Drones were a problem. I picked up on it last time. In the last round, they were down to 3 or less from the end of the round. It's an issue. You've got to have as much intel around the map as you can. We could see it in Macko's movement, checking back up the steps, so we'd be in flight. Not completely sure what was going on. We've got a bit of a heart breach coming on here, looking to get in aggressively here, Aqui, and take a bit of ground. He's not going to find himself a fight just yet. And the drones are going to now start moving in ahead of Ghost as well, so that he can support. I like this from Macko. It's kind of addressing that time issue. They've still got 9 drones left as well, a minute into the round, so it's addressing the 2 big factors that I've mentioned, time and intel. At least they've got those sorted.
Okay. We're going to go pretty quickly, actually. Well, it looks for two smokes are going in. The Glaz is stepping on forwards here. This is much better. 70 seconds in, we're trying to make something happen. Here he comes, but look up nice and close. It's done. Plant's going down, but there is fire, there is smoke, and there is a hell of a lot of utility that has largely been untouched here by the Macko side. Oh, 3 rounds they've had to play the utility game team. They've had to clear it, and this round they said, utility? What utility? Short-term memory loss is not your friend, and now they've got to try and recover this round somehow. But to me, it already looks pretty lost.
Small mistakes will start to add up as well. We saw Teb just dump the smoke in there. It went through the floor and has smoked the room underneath, so he's had to send a second one in, and it's again just a loss of that utility that can be critical for Glaz to play behind. Beautiful double from Pasha there, but Lolo, I've kind of got to say, you know, you've no business going in for the second peak on that one. Your man's already been absolutely decimated on Ops door. You know what's going to happen if you follow it in, and they've just given him the opportunity to go 1 by 1 and take them down. That turns a 3v4 into a 1v4, and it's all up to Teb now. He might find one, but honestly, it's going to be meaningless.
He's dead. Yep, too easy. Yep. Always just sitting there ready and waiting. Again, it's hard because, like, I know I said I want to see him go fast, but I didn't mean rush and ignore all the utility stats up against you. There's surely a degree of that when you're coming into the droning phase that you see, okay, they've got a Chanker on side. Okay, they've got a smoke on side. They're playing really heavy anti-plant denial right now. So we need to do something here to either clear them out, rush them down on that side of the map rather than worrying about the objective, or we've got to find some way to negate all that utility first. And that was just a little bit of a calamity is probably how I'd best describe it. Virtus.pro looked completely ready for it, and there was very little Macko could do to surprise them. Like you can see here, look, you've got smokes going off, you've got fire on the ground. Just, it didn't really matter what they tried to do from that point. They were always doomed. Pasha doing Pasha things. Of course, we're used to seeing this by now. Macko just don't look very competitive on this first map, though, Tim, and it makes me worry this could be a bit of a speed run by Virtus.pro.
Yeah, I mean, we did wonder about Virtus.pro, of course, coming in. We said that there were maps that they just haven't been choosing, you know, that they ban out a lot of the time. Lair is one that we haven't seen them play on. Map pool is something that has been talked about and will continue to be talked about for Virtus.pro. But that being said, they've banned this 9 times. It's not been banned against them, they've banned it out 9 times. And you just kind of sat wondering now, is it because they've been keeping it in the bank? Is the map pool actually a little bit deeper than maybe we think? And, you know, they are fully prepared to play on a couple of those maps that they've been regularly banning. And Lair certainly looks to be one of them. I'm not saying it's been a perfect performance from Virtus.pro, but they know what they're doing. They're well aware. That was a really nice defense. As soon as all the utilities are thrown in, they know exactly where those smokes need to go. They know exactly where the Shumaka canisters need to go. Really good stuff from Virtus.pro. I'm looking forward to seeing them on the attack and seeing whether that's for me often the real telltale of whether a team is good on a map, whether they're prepared for a map, is how well can you do it on the attack?
I would love to think there's a world, and it probably is this world that we're in now, where Virtus.pro is like, oh, you guys think we can't play those 3 maps? No, we just don't like them. That's the only reason we don't play them. That's why we're permaban. We just don't like them, but we can play them. Evidently so, because they're playing this one ridiculously well so far. And I imagine there'll be a few teams who are going to start being wary of Virtus.pro's lair. Probably go straight back on the permaban list, by the way, but everyone will know they can play it. Easy step out there from down, and second lining up. I thought for a second he was going to find his man. Ready for Dora, maybe joining him around the back, as we've seen quite a few times here. Lolo's gone down early on Tim. They have barely stepped their foot inside the building, and Virtus.pro are bullying them.
Yeah, this is the big problem for Macko, really, is getting themselves established. I feel like they've played the utility game well. They've dealt with utility well throughout the game so far. But when it comes to taking space and controlling that space, more importantly, they have taken space, but they haven't been able to control it quite often. And they've found themselves being chipped away at by Virtus.pro with the odd kill here, odd kill there, odd double kill will come in. And before you know it, it's 2v4 and you kind of, you know, scratching to get yourself to the end of the round. I like the shift to the Maverick this time. I've complimented Dora a couple of times this stage on his Maverick play, switched him across because they've struggled with the breaches previously, and it has worked well for them. But again, Virtus.pro are finding that most critical of resources coming in absolute bucketfuls for them, and that is kills.
Sure. Now, to be that case, you're going to see the clock run down. And I think Virtus.pro are going to do what they know to do best. Sit down, hold angles, wait for them to start pushing on through. They're hoping to find something. He's got the right idea on towards his man, but he's also fearful of the swing. And sure enough, the swing is there, and Joystick is just better in that moment. Gets the kill. A trade comes through from Dora. Really only the slight shining light for this Macko team so far today. The only one sat even when it comes to the KD at the same time. And to himself has got the same number of kills as the rest of his team combined. That shows you how tough an ask this has been to this point, and now he's got to do it against 4. And Tim, I think we know how this sort of thing ends.
And it ends just like that. Always gets the final kill in the round again, twice in a row. I think Virtus.pro are starting to really feel confident as well now, which, you know, they should do. They're 5-0 up and they've been winning these rounds reasonably comfortably. The reason I say that, Joystick swinging for that second one onto Dora, he was still reloading as he was swinging. And, you know, that's Joystick knows better than that. But he's kind of just like, yeah, I'll go and have a look. It's fine with 4v, I think 4v3, 4v2 or 5v3 at that point. They had a decent advantage. And you can just see it in the gameplay that they're getting a bit more sort of brazen of Virtus.pro here, and they're willing to just take the challenges on.
I just think at this point, Tim, it's pretty cooked. It's pretty done. It's really hard to see how Macko managed to get around back here. Second half, maybe things change. We're always saying 2 halves to a game of Siege, but it's a big ask. Down to the basement we go. Close out the half. See if Macko can get anything done in this round.
I think that, you know, I don't really need to say it. They desperately need this round. They need absolutely everything that they can get here just to try and, you know, I've said this quite often before as well. If you're going to go 5-1 in a half, and by that I mean be on the receiving end of 5-1, the best round you can win is round 6, because it at least gives you something going into that second half, going into that switch. You move on to the defense. You got that attack. It gives you something, gives you some sort of hope. So Macko, it's a sort of a thin thread to hold on to, but at least if they can get this, it's something.
Yeah, it's something, but is it enough to save the game? I don't know at that point. We'll hope for the best. We'll hope for the best for the boys. At least in this round, we've got some changes coming in. Of course, that book being changed away and got the ace on side instead, and Dora stepping across onto the Deimos. Not surprised, as the only player that's really been offering any lethal threat for the team. Put your best gun on the entry, the Hunter who wants to chase down these VP players. My main concern though, Tim, is VPs have remarked a few times, they aren't massive roamers. They will roam, but they'll fall back. They'll happily turtle up. It is no skin off their nose at all. They're very happy to do it. First trap coming on through is going to find Pasha, and truthfully, Tim, I don't think I want to hunt down Pasha, because you might feel like the Hunter, but trust me, you got the hunted against him.
This is it. You got to remember, you're giving a little bit of intel back the other way. Not quite as precise, of course, as what you're gaining, but somebody like Pasha really doesn't need much of an invitation to take and win those gunfights. If he's got half an idea of where you are, he's going to have a goal, you better believe it. But again, Macko doing well in terms of the util game. They're getting in there, they're opening up the verticals. They need to make sure that they're using that superiority to push Virtus.pro out of position here. Not just push them out of position, but push them into the line of sight of their teammates. That's half of the game here. It's half of what operators like Sledge, Buck, Fuse are all intended to do. It's to force those defenders to move, and then somebody is there to pick up the kill. Ghost manages to get Pasha 5 versus 4, and a better start for Macko.
Maybe a round on the way, although they have been in a 4 versus 3 before, and we saw how that one ended out. Not the best, unfortunately. More of their own demise, admittedly, than Virtus.pro outplaying them as such, so you'd hope to see a bit more out of that, but no! Pretty much a one tap there from Joystick on towards Acri. At least one comes back in the form of Teb. A 4 versus 3 once again. And Tim, this time round, we've still got quite a bit of time to play with here. 45 seconds, and a track comes through onto Shepard. Looking good for Macko.
Yeah, they've definitely got themselves up to a better pace in this round. They've forced Virtus.pro out of position. They've got more seconds on the clock. They've kind of got everything going for them here, as well as that 4v2. And it's all come off the back of their first entry kill. So far, every entry has gone in favour of Virtus.pro. Look at that, much better from Macko, pushing from multiple sides, leaving Joystick in a no-win situation. We're going to have it was Dan, sorry, trying to do something about it, couldn't find even one. Macko with a solid win in round 6. Like I said, if you're going to take only one round in the first half, it might as well be round 6, and maybe they carry some momentum forward with them.
Much better. And obviously the big question you asked there is, where was that a few rounds ago? It was a lot better. They cleared the map well. They made use of utility. The Deimos in particular was the key one to look at there, and look at how it was helping them clear through the map. You know, they hovered Dockerby a couple of times throughout the half. Wouldn't have been a bad one to see either. Made use of the verticals to punish onto those players that were sat static and maybe don't have the experience on this map to know about every possible angle that a team can exploit against you. Again, you'd expect VP to have that, but given they don't play it so often, maybe it isn't quite built into their wheelhouse. Either way, VP are the ones up 5-1. Macko have got a bit of a mountain to climb here, and they're going to start that out with a double shield ban. Back the other way is going to be a Chanka and a Clash.
Yeah, next 2 or 3 rounds are absolutely vital for Macko. Need to get themselves back within touching distance before they allow Virtus.pro onto that map point. The reality is that we expect Virtus.pro to have some map point opportunities. We expect them to get an attack somewhere, get onto 6, and have those chances. Macko now are playing a game where they've just got to delay that for as long as possible. If Virtus.pro come in and walk over this first attack, huge problem for the Italian side then. Whereas if it's 5-4 and they get the 6th, and then you've only got to defend 2 rounds and keep them at bay to get yourself to overtime, it's a bit of a different story. So Macko, essential few coming up for them. They're going to kick things off up on the top floor. We'll see what Virtus.pro do here. The Tachanka being taken away maybe leads you to think they might go for mask wall, as we saw Macko try to do earlier, and they suffered to the Tachanka and smoke combo. So maybe that's something Virtus.pro leaning into. The Clash kind of suggests that as well, because Clash should often be used to hold on to ops, hold on to the desk just near mask wall, all that sort of area. So they could well stack up over there.
I love how, again, by the way, we're seeing always on the Fuse. Yeah, it's quite a bit throughout the stage, and I was always like, oh, it's because shields get banned away so often. We're going to see a lot of shield play coming out of that. You won't really see the gadget get used very often, but they have found a way to make it relatively effective. And the painful thing is, no team is ever going to ban away Fuse. Because you ban away Fuse, they're going to run something like the Blackbeard, or they'll run around on the Blitz, for example, or a Monty. There's other shields that are equally annoying to play against, and it just feels like they know that they're always going to have this available to them. Really helps with things like utility clears. They haven't got to bring along as many frag grenades. It's just been really cool seeing a team make that operator their own when very few others around the world are doing that right now.
Yeah, it kind of removes the value from the shield ban as well, doesn't it? Like, they've used those
Massively.
2 bans on shields, and yeah, okay, that's fine. We've still got the one that we always use, because like you say, nobody's really going to ban the Fuse. We see the gadget being great to remove utility. We've already seen it on Op Store. Take away that barbed wire, also take away any possibility of, pre-placed nitros underneath, anything like that could be a danger to always moving in there. He's done great work. Hard breach gadget, so much value out of that operator, and he can still keep bullying people with the shield. That was close.
Yeah, almost managed to get his man, but no. But aggression not paying off this time around. At least not losing his life in the process or taking any damage. You call it quits, call it evens at the end of the day. Absolutely right, Tim. I think the space also that you get from those fuse charges is also pretty massive. Forces them out of ops, forces them back on Mez, and now VP have got control of that part of the map. Joy's just going to find one into a second. He's slipped through the net, and they have no idea that he's here. Finally get a trade back on that R6 room door, but the damage has been done. It's a 4 versus 3, and Virtus.pro, as I said earlier, Tim, they're not the kind of the team to make a lot of mistakes very often. In a 4 versus 3, this should be theirs for the taking, especially when Pasha has still got 2 tracks to play with.
Yeah, and especially with how much value there is in the round. That was a full, I'm inside, boys, come from Joystick there. He's just kind of wandering through like, oh, they've let me in. Yeah, I'll take a couple of kills. They need to get some pressure onto Ghost in this position. He's really holding them at bay here on the Azami. Maybe a little bit in from bathroom window. Try and force him out. That's a great nade. Comes in. Pasha's ready for the kill. Ted manages to get the trade. 2 versus 3. Macko continue to hold on, but maybe not for much longer as Dan manages to find Akwi. It's all up to Ted. They're one of the most clutch teams in the league. Can they do it again, Des?
And Ted being one of those players, Tim, I don't think he's going to be able to get away with it because, like I've said, if there was a leaderboard for this, and I will check it later, I am pretty sure Virtus.pro are one of the teams that you do not often get to beat in a clutch. As I say it, they find one. There's 2 more to go, though. Always, of course, with the shield at his face, it's going to be hard to bring down in this fashion. There are only about 15 seconds left in which to make it happen and still be able to get on the diffuser here. Finding his way on towards the R6 room door. Both players have pulled way back on Virtus.pro's side. They don't want to give him absolutely anything here. Ready with a shotgun in hand, but first he's going to find himself against a shield. It'll take a second player to swing in, but he's out of time at this point, Tim. Shepard with the close down, 6-1 to Virtus.pro.
Yeah, Shepard and always played that absolutely perfectly. They know that they're going to hear any attempt to disable that diffuser from the corridor there. They don't need to get overly aggressive. Shepard, not being behind a shield, gets himself even further back. He's on the door just behind the corner and cuts him down beautifully. Well played from Virtus.pro. A nice attack, and that is basically worst case scenario for Macko. As I said, coming in at 1-5 down, you need to be getting those first 2 to 3 rounds to reduce the number of map points that you need to play against. That was absolutely beautiful nade onto Ghost there. I mean, it's not really a new change anymore, but obviously we saw the changes to nades where you couldn't cook them anymore. The fuse kind of starts after it hits the surface, and now they use more in that fashion to move players out of a position. You dump it in there, it activates, you get that red warning, the player has to move, and you just hold your line of sight and cut them down as they do. And Virtus.pro just showing exactly how to use it. It's a simple thing, but we don't often see it done, you know, brilliantly well. And that was really good from Virtus.pro.
All right, no more second chances for Macko now. The Italians have got to stand up big across these next 5 rounds if they want to send us to overtime. Can't win it in regulation. Have to do it in overtime if that's where we want to get to. But again, I really don't see a world in which Virtus.pro can get anywhere near making that a reality, Tim. Kind of heard the desk saying it might be a risk going into this map for that starting one here. You've not really seen Virtus.pro play it often. I think we're kind of seeing why now. They look extremely comfortable on it, and even though they ban it away, it's more of a don't like situation rather than a can't play situation.
I'm wondering if it's even a don't like situation or whether it's just we're just going to keep this one and use it when we need it kind of situation. You know, because they are looking very, very comfortable, as you say.
What you don't know though, Tim, is that actually they've all got buckets next to them while they're playing, and after every round they just throw up in the bucket. They're just like, it's literally poisoning them to play on this map, but they know they have to do it.
I really like Blair.
I like that.
I like
PP don't.
Well, it would appear not, but I bet they like it a lot more after today. 6-1, they stand against Macko. One more round, we'll see them one map up. As a reminder for you, it'll be Border next, which was EP's choice. They've played it 3 times, won it 3 times inside of EML so far. So, you know, a great record for them. As I said, coming in here, I feel like if Virtus.pro get layer, it's probably a 2-0. And Macko desperately needed this one. Beautiful work from Dan on the ram. Gets the boogie drawn down and then gets himself a little victory dance as he manages to find that kill onto Lolo. 5 versus 4, and it's heading in Virtus.pro's direction.
When you play against teams like this, when they're on this kind of form like VPR today, it feels like you're playing 5v10. It just feels like they're coming out of the wall, and everywhere you step, there's a drone watching you, a player ready to shoot you, an angle being held, a vertical being contested. Everything just feels like it's almost impossible to do. Here it's had about a minute and a half. We've finally got the players pushed on back on towards site here. Not bad progress from VP, but now you look eyes towards Dan to make use of that last round gadget to get it rolling across the floor and get more verticals exposed to the rest of the team to start thinking about this execute.
Nitro ripped and ready. I always love this maneuver. Don't give the sound cue that it's going to come out. We're going to see it, are we? Yes. Beautifully dipped away by Always, though. Going to just be held at bay from the Falcon canister. They continue to push and challenge onto those stairs, looking to take that ground. 5 versus 4, 45 seconds, and time could start becoming a factor as Ghost manages to find Joystick. It's the Twitch taken down, so not a huge loss in terms of an execute or getting a plant down. That's going to come behind the Blackbeard, but 4 versus 4, 4 versus 3. They managed to level it up, but the time is ticking.
It is indeed. And they hold on, though. A C4 still to play behind, an impact. No doubt a couple of goo mines scattered around. Not really enough to keep you at bay, but might be enough to turn the tables here. You've got to be careful about that Angel death from above in Dan. Might drop in with them here as well as waiting for someone to push through, at least try and contest. A great play C4 from Ghost. And now it's going to be panic stations for the side of VP into a 2 versus 2. Sticking that plan again, which means all the holding's got to be done by Dan. Finds 1 and finds 2, because of course he does. Vertus Pro giving Macko no room to breathe in this game as they take Lair 7-1.
Of course I would. You know, I won't have anybody say that I'm just here going wild over Virtus Pro. Give me something to cheer, Macko, and I'll cheer it big time. But they just didn't really deliver that on Lair. It was all Virtus Pro, unfortunately. And it's a shame for Macko because they've shown us, you know, them getting to 5th place overall. But as Fresh quite rightly says, as Leo says, you know, we've got challengers here. We've got a top 4. And we said that coming into round 1. I said, you know, for Macko, they've kind of achieved for the season. You know, they've achieved for the stage. They've come in and had a fantastic, you know, run of games. So whatever they get out of the playoffs feels like a bit of a bonus for them. They'll want it all, don't get me wrong, but it feels like a bit of a bonus, whereas Virtus Pro, their expectation no doubt takes them plenty beyond this game. So, you know, that's what we've seen play out in the first one. Honestly, I think there's a lot for Macko to address here in map 2, and they're in danger of it being over before they get a chance.
Yeah, well, you'd hope during the break, of course, they've had a chance to have a conversation, gather whatever it is that's been going wrong in that first game and recollect themselves, because it isn't the Macko that we've seen throughout the stage. I get it. You're against a top 4 team. As Leo said, you know, it's a challenge team against a top 4 team. It's always going to be difficult, 100%. But there's still the ability for you to battle back. You know, we've seen Macko have some great games throughout the stage where they're showing they can tango with the best. They've just got to show it today. But the problem is, and we always see it at events all the time as well, Tim, sometimes teams wake up or players wake up and they're at the wrong side of the bed and they are just like at maybe 50% of what they can normally be on one of their best days. They're a little bit slower to react. They're not quite fully present in the game itself. And that can completely derail everything when it brings energy down the team, for example. This could just be one of those days, but I'm praying for Macko that because it is best of 3 and it isn't just a one map and done sort of vibe, that we can see them recover and that break will have helped them there.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's it. And I think preparation was mentioned as well. This is something they've seen Virtus Pro play on 3 times. There's plenty of tape there for them to have gone over. They know that if left to pick, that Virtus Pro will pick it. So, you know, at least from that perspective, Macko should be very, very well prepared for coming in here. I pick up on something Leo said about that aggressiveness on defense, particularly from Pasha and Dan. That's not going to help Macko here on border. That's going to be something they need to manage, because we often talk about border and the way that, you know, the attackers win the map or win the rounds often by getting inside the map. If once they get inside and get established, generally attackers will go on to win the round. A lot of the fight in border is around that sort of boundary. It's around those barricades, those doors, those windows, preventing the attackers from getting in and getting themselves established. And if Virtus Pro continue that defensive style, continue that freedom for Pasha and Dan to be aggressive at the beginning of the rounds, to fight them at those barricades and not let them in the map, that's when Virtus Pro could start running away with this on defense.
Sure. Again, we look back at that game against Wild. I don't think there was a round where Virtus Pro were anything below like 3 players left. They absolutely dominated Wild in that game. Like, wasn't even close. And you can look at that and say, okay, well, Wild, as we've seen, you know, an academy team that's been brought up here. You know, Garen's been looking good. For the rest, has been a little bit to be desired throughout as well. Macko are very much clearly in the standings and also very arguably the better team than Wild. But you're still coming up against a team that is very, very comfortable. 3-0 on border in the stage. It is not going to be an easy estimate of which way you look at it. And of course, we've got that second game coming up today, which you were referencing earlier on, Falcons versus Genji. But we were kind of saying during the break, that first map was a bit of a surprise because we thought that this series would be the closer one. That second one would be more one-sided towards Falcons. maybe it's going to be the reverse instead.
Who knows? Who knows? You know, we often come in here with these expectations and how we think things are going to go, and then on the day, players turn up, players don't turn up, and you know, we just have a little bit of a surprise. I think that's another thing. You know, I mentioned players, you know, maybe not turning up. I always try to avoid singling people out. Acqui had a tough game on there, 0-8. He's a top player. He's a great player. He's very, very influential, very, very capable. If they can get him firing, it's going to help the team massively. You know, if you can just get that little bit more out of him. And that's up to his teammates. That's up to his teammates and his coach in the break to be saying, look, forget it, it's done. Lair doesn't matter. We go to border now. And to be picking that energy up and trying to get him into the game as well. Because, of course, you know, the more players that you've got that you can fall back on, you're not then reliant on one or two having a big game.
Absolutely. Well, bear with us for this rehost. As you probably saw, there was a slight bug in the game for one of the players. So when that's resolved, we will get ourselves back underway. A reminder, you've heard us speaking about it. This is the first series of the day. Virtus Pro won the first map of Lair, one of their permaban 7-1. Order here is the second map. The map picked by Virtus Pro, it is worth stressing as well, which is why many are thinking this could be a 2-0 before we step into that game we were just talking about, which is Falcons against Genji. And then tomorrow, Tim, is a big day because we have 3 best-of-3s coming up tomorrow, which is going to be great fun. We'll be there as well for, I believe, the third game. You'll have Emmy and Demo covering off the first couple of games. So still lots to look forward to over the next few days.
Yeah, we start getting towards that spot. You know, obviously today is kind of about sort of jostling for position, really. You know, we start getting to see a few more decisions being made over the next couple of play days. So the playoffs, I always love playoffs because it just kind of gets hotter and hotter every round. Every time we move on to a new play day, the stakes just go up and up, and that will continue to be the case over the next few for us, like you say, continuing tomorrow with those big games. So plenty to look forward to, with of course G2 and Team Secret being the top 2 place teams from the league stage, will then get brought into it tomorrow as well. What a reward for winning this. You know, if Virtus.pro win this, well done, you've won. You get to play G2 next. What a great reward.
Sounds like a great one. I mean, another good game, to be fair, it always is. Of course, not forgetting that 8-7 banger on bank that we have between G2 and Virtus.pro. I would love to see those two teams throw down the best of 3, and at least with the course that we're on, that seems to be the outcome we're getting.
If it continues, which, like I say, match, I just think, and I said it sort of, you know, coming into round 7 of Lair, that they needed a few big rounds, 2 or 3 rounds back to back, get themselves some momentum, get themselves into it. They need it even more. It's even more the case coming into border. They need to get those first couple of attacks. You know, they need to be getting themselves involved immediately in terms of the scoreboard, because if not, then the last result is going to play on their mind. That last result kind of exists or doesn't exist, I think, based on those first couple of rounds. If you come in and lose the first couple, then Lair is going to be front and centre of everybody's mind. No matter how much you try and ignore it, you're going to think, God, this is going to get even worse. It could be 14-1, 14-2 overall. Like, this could be terrible. I think if you come in and win those first couple of rounds, all of a sudden it's like, what Lair? What, we've played Lair today? Like, you can just completely forget about it and move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Macko definitely need that start.
Does seem relatively okay in spirits, at least from what we've seen. I wish I could say the same about Virtus Pro, but even when they win a map, you wouldn't know.
They could lose a map or win a map,
and they look exactly the same. Actually, that's a lie. Pasha doesn't look the same. You know when Pasha's won a round or when he's won a game. The rest of them, not a clue.
I kind of wonder, like, can you imagine like Shepard winning SI after all these years, winning a 6 invitational and just going absolutely wild with a celebration? I don't think anybody would believe it.
I would actually prefer to see him just stay completely stoic and just not react at all. Just stand up, walk over to the team, shake their hands, walk to the stage, lift the trophy without so much as moving a muscle on his face. That would make it for me so much. An all-time esport moment.
He has the potential to do the funniest thing in esports.
Tim, I've got to ask, I can't believe asking this question again. How's the garden going, Tim?
How's the garden going? Well, it's funny you should ask this. I've actually been a very busy boy. For anybody who doesn't, we've had like 30+ degree heat over the weekend in the UK, and it's just so coincided with me relaying my patio. So I've been like lugging flags round and like, you know, working with cement and getting it all worked out. It's been very grueling, very, very difficult. I don't know how, like, I have full respect for builders and stuff. I went to Japan last year, and we were there in the summer, and a lot of the construction was being done at night. You know, obviously it's not anybody's first choice because it's a very noisy job generally, you know, and you generally try and avoid doing it at unreasonable hours like that, but they just don't have a choice because it's so hot. I was there in July into August, so it was like 38 degrees centigrade, so crazy temperatures, and I'm starting to really appreciate why that is over the last couple of days, because I think I've lost about 4 pounds in weight just from sweating whilst doing the patio. But the progress is good. The progress is good. The vegetable planter is in. The patio is down. I'm probably at about, I would say, about 40% overall.
Okay, still some more to go. How much will the rest take in? What's next?
You see, I don't really want to do the next job. So the 10% that'll get me to 50 is easy stuff. There's a couple of flags left to lay on the patio. We need to put a little bit of edging in, put some decorative slate down. Dead easy stuff. It'll take me like probably a day to do all of it. Maybe a day.
Dead easy. It takes a day. Yeah.
Dead easy stuff to do all of that. Then I move on to having to clear out my old lawn, and it's more digging. And I've had enough of digging. I don't know how people. Maximum respect to anybody who digs for a living, because it is hard work. I've been digging through clay out there. I've got like quite a clayey ground, and good heavens does it take it out here. You know, I maybe need to remember that I'm 40 as well, but yeah, so I'm not looking forward to the next job because I need to take out an awful lot of earth. I need to get rid of the lawn, get rid of a load of earth, and then decking is going in, and I'm gonna have a nice area to chill. Gonna get some nice furniture, a little pizza oven, barbecue on the go, nice umbrella for some shade. When it's done, it's gonna be glorious.
Sounds riveting.
It is. You asked.
I know I started that. I'm really sorry. You know, I think my brain needs a bit of recovery, Tim, and I think yours needs to cool down a bit. I hear we've got a G2 video we can tune into for their R6 share skin. Let's take a look at that now.
Easy, teammate.
Oh, Jesus. Nice. All right, listen. There's a few guys left. I'm going to entry. You're with me. I need you to stay on cams and support us if we need.
Got it.
All right, with me. Clear. 3, 2, 1. Cover me. Jack. One on the right. Oh, shit. No, call! Get off your cams. We need help. Fucking Alamo. Take the case. Go on without me.
Shut the fuck up, Jack. What?
Is he okay?
I've been worse.
And here we are. We are straight into game, which is good news for those of you who are sick and tired of hearing our voices droning on while we stare at players looking a little bit impatient. Now you get to actually watch the siege. Here we go then, Tim.
We do.
You know what I love about that, Tim? I went to that break thinking, you know what? I get to ignore Tim's voice for a couple of minutes. Then what do I hear as one of the first things in that video? Your voice.
I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere, Des. Especially when it comes to Siege. Let's catch up on those bans. We did miss those on the way in. We've got Clash and Castle being taken away by Macko on the attack, and Virtus.pro taking away Monty and Ying. They're going to be two big bans for Border. Ying, yeah, Ying really powerful on Border, on any map, to be honest. But, you know, great spots for Ying to assist with the executes and getting that diffuser down and creating space on Border. So, yeah, good ban from Virtus.pro. We're going to see a persistence from Macko with the shields. There's, I did comment on it last time. They didn't get too much value out of it. Can they do better? No, is the answer. Always, and Joystick managed to take down Ghost and Lolo. That's the blitz off the board. Pasha, Shepherd, Virtus.pro coming out strong on defense again.
Well, some things never change, Tim. Turns out it doesn't matter what map you're on. You're still going to get run over if you're not careful. Seb getting one back, but Joystick is there for the trade. Blink and you'll miss it. This could be one of our fastest best of threes yet, Tim.
It really could. I'm not going to start talking about 14-1s just yet, but one round has just whipped past our eyes. Virtus.pro go 1-0 up, and again, it was, you know, as I said coming in, they are going to fight them at the boundaries. They're not going to let them in the map. They're not especially going to let them establish themselves. And what did they do? Playing on that CCTV door, looking for the run out. They jump in with the blitz. They try to get aggressive. They try to take CCTV control, and Virtus.pro just cut them down and shut it out. Great play from them. Really, really nice defending. And in all honesty, Macko, they didn't stand a chance in round one. And coming in, this is where I said they needed to be getting the first few rounds, because if not, Lair is going to be sticking right in their mind as well, and how difficult Lair was. And that it's just continuing here. So Macko, you gotta get round two. They're going to be attacking into workshop and ventilation.
10 seconds remaining.
What I do like that we've seen from Virtus.pro today that's worth noting is they've banned away the Saints operators across both maps so far. The Monty is one of their permanent, it's their most banned operator by a country mile. When you then take a look at the Ying, it's actually not one of their most banned operators. You don't see it banned away all that often by Virtus.pro. I think they're leaning in towards us to try and counter off against Macko, and in doing so, don't feel the need to play Warden. We haven't seen it picked once by them so far across either map. Of course, only 2 rounds of this one played so far, but they've largely ignored it, whereas at times we've seen them lean into that Warden quite extensively. So it's an interesting one to observe there, that they're obviously making their banning strategy around both targeting their opponents, whilst also making sure they've got a little more flexibility in terms of what defenders they get to play.
Reloading. Okay then, again, stacking up on those boundaries. The sort of point for success for Macko to kick things off is getting established inside of the map here on Border without losing bodies. They need to go in, take ground, get an entry kill, and then start working from there. So far, they've done a little bit of that. They've taken some ground. Taking top east there is really important. They need to make sure they're not going to get hit on a flank from the bottom. I'm sure they've got that dealt with the drone or similar, and now they can start pressuring archives and through into armory, which will give them the verticals down into sight.
So I love the use of the shield though, because that's obviously a main part of the map where defenders like to rotate through. Now it's really hard to play inside of that southwest side. Can't you make use of 90? Can't easily rotate back in towards Fountain. It's just going to be a bit of a headache. Not that it seems to stop them for now, because Joystick Tim, I said I've been watching his entries throughout this series, because I did go and look. He's 6-18 on the entry. He's our second worst player in all of the league for entries, exceeded only by Krex, who's 7-21 on the side of Wolves. But in this game so far, he's been going pretty good. In fact, the entirety of the team they've really had Macko's number, as we know at this point.
Nade just coming in, trying to move down, but he manages to avoid it. Dora does pick up always, leaving us 4 versus 4. They're starting to use that Vert a little bit. Virtus.pro need to do something. They need to fight back here, but Macko have dug their heels in. They've got established. That was the first step that I said they needed. Now comes taking that control, getting the kills and getting those vertical angles so they can think about and execute. But with only 50 seconds left on the clock, and Virtus.pro still having a presence in Armory and in CCTV, there's a lot of work for them to do.
There is. Winnable, but we said that so many times back on our first map, Tim, when they had this man advantage and still managed to give things away. At least trying to make use of the scan here in Tez's back pocket. We saw Pasha ignoring this previously and paying the price. But if the scan on does, thought for a second we were going to see a spin through the softball then, and a kill maybe come out from Shepard. He has no idea there is someone literally sat on the other side of the wall to him that could result in a kill. But like this, yet again, Tim, Macko are giving away a man advantage. It's down to a 2 versus 1, and they have crumbled when surely it looked like it was a round they could get over the line.
Really unfortunate for Teb there. As you say, Shepard has no idea that he's on the other side of the wall, and then he puts a vendetta shot through the softball. Shepard finds the kill, and then the last one comes in there to close out the round. Yeah, just really unfortunate for the Deimos. But overall, again, it was kind of 50% of a good round from Macko. They got in, they got top east, they opened off this wall, they started trying to, pressure onto Dan with the nades going into archives, but they just couldn't then take that next step. It looks like Lair all over again. We spoke about them spending 2 minutes on one doorway, not going through. It kind of feels the same. It's, that they do the first half of the round well, they get themselves into a position, but then when it comes to actually meeting that line that Vertus Pro have drawn, they can never seem to step over it. They can never seem to start pushing Vertus Pro back away from what they want to hold. They never really had control of CCTV. They never had control of Armory Archives, and that was the problem. They're taking only as much as they are given.
That's exactly it. Yeah, I said it back on the first map, but it felt quite harsh on at the time. I was a bit like, okay, it's the first hot take of the day. Macko are losing to themselves. And I completely agree with you. They start out so strong. They've had these man advantage situations. Yeah, I think about teams at the time would make several calls to basically say, pause, stop, look at where we're at, get back on drones, let's figure out what the next step is as a team here. And I like to think they're operating with that in mind, where they are kind of pausing and assessing the situation, but then just see little kills start falling away, and whether or not it's Vertus Pro getting a bit aggressive and being willing to step into Macko and try and bring them down while they're caught off guard a little bit, or if it's just a little bit of mistiming on Macko's side, I don't know. But this has now probably happened 4 times throughout the game where they've had the man advantage and still managed to come away as the loser of the round. You can't be letting that happen if you want to be a team that's beating the likes of Virtus Pro.
Continuing to bring the shields. We saw the Orsa last time. We saw the Blitz in round 1. Trying to use them to create space. Trying to use them to go in and take that control that I'm talking about. But again, still not really working for Macko. And I wonder if there's a point where you've got to say, you know what? Let's lean into something else. Let's have a look at an alternative. But this time it's going to be Dora bringing along the Blackbeard. We've got Lolo again on the Blitz. Keep an eye on those two. How much value the Macko get out of those operators?
Well, hopefully a little bit more than what we've seen it previously, Tim. I'm into the round here. At least they found themselves not losing one out too soon. In fact, here they even get the entry. Dan, who was the murderer of the last round, the one getting one back here. Sniff out onto always at the sin and step across into a pretty risky position here where he can be shot from the window. I was going to say be wary about the angles that you expose yourself to, but the Rower has gone down, Tim. One of the main operators they needed in this round as part of their set piece play is going to fall away from them. He steps in and he still loses out. Didn't get the flash, sorry, because there was too much range. Definitely got the flash though because he got himself a freebie, Tim. They finally get the trade back. It's 3 versus 3, but they've lost the 2 most critical operators in their attack. The Rower and the Blitz are gone.
And this is why I keep talking about the shields. They're absolutely fine to bring. We know how powerful they are, but you've got to get the value out of them. And like you say, Lolo, just a little bit too much distance there and gave always the opportunity to find the kill onto him. 3 versus 3 with a minute left to go, and Virtus Pro are looking good. Again, Macko are trying to bully their way into sight. They're trying to find some sort of space, but Pasha is still above. They still have the verticals. They're still getting damage for free onto the flanks, onto the sides. They're going to try and push, but the Blackbeard is not aggressive enough. And Shepard is still able to get an important kill before being taken down. And now it's all up to Dora, low health. He's going to try and put this diffuser down, try and bait out some sort of attack. But they've got bulletproof cams. They've got intel. They don't need to pressure this. Pasha finds the final kill from waiting. And Virtus Pro, another good defense.
Again, it's another one of those again. They got themselves the entry. They had a great set piece play onto the Azami, and I thought, great, it could be 5 versus 3 here. What a start. But the Blitz flash is short. It doesn't white screen the Azami. They lose the firefight, and it just comes down to them losing their 2 best operators in a bid to try and get rid of 2 roamers. Vertus Pro then just convert from there, as you've seen them do so many times over. Not at all surprised to see that Azami being taken away here, by the way. It's actually one of Vertus Pro's most banned operators as well. They love taking it away. Obviously, with the new ban system, it's not really anything they can do here when they're on the defending side themselves, but I do expect maybe to disappear at some point too. It's again, just you can't be making a look-up of that flash there, not when your team are relying on you. Yes, they get the trade, but the damage is already done by that point.
I think, yeah, I'd like to see it from the other perspective. I'd like to see it from Always' perspective. I'm 90% sure that the distance was too much and he wasn't flashed. It's either that or he's just hit a blind shot and he's got away with one. You know, but either way, the thing is, if he was flashed as well, the pistol shots should have been quicker and should have been, you know, getting the job done. But yeah, ultimately, Macko needing to find more value out of the shields or stop bringing them. We're going to see the blitz banned out, and that is going to prompt them to stop bringing them by the looks of it. Lola is instead going to bring along the Dokkaebi this time, and we're going to see the Blackbeard dropped as well. The changes come in. Demos, Flores, Twitch and Zero. They're going to keep hold of the Dokkaebi, which I think is a good shout. Put the calls onto Virtus Pro. Prevent them getting aggressive onto you on the defense. Lock them in place for a little bit of time. Get yourself a bit of intel. I think that's going to be a lineup that a lot of people are looking at taking into ranked as well, I think.
I'm reloading.
Absolutely. All right, let's see if Macko can really get this game started, because we are following the exact same track that we did back on Lair. 3 rounds in a row. You say they've come close? Not really. Like, they've come closer than they did in Lair, but still not close that you can see them walking away with the win just yet. We hope that changes here going into the second quarter. Starting things out with Teb on the Roteros, making sure at least all this gadgetry is chewed away, mainly looking in towards those bulletproof cams and, of course, in towards the barbed wire that, of course, is deployed out by the smoke here. Let's try and give his team a bit easier access in towards the site. What I do like, or into the map, sorry. What I do like in this round, Tim, is we're seeing the Dokkaebi and the Demos being brought along. You know that I love this pairing. I speak about it to death every single broadcast. This should help them be able to punish members of Virtus Pro, but you need to be able to win that initial gunfight. Otherwise, it is all for nothing.
Mine activated.
The other problem at the minute for Macko, of course, is, you know, they're not converting those rounds where they get the entry kill. We've spoken about how dominant Virtus Pro have been on the entry, and as I say that, Always decides to prove my point and gets the kill onto Ghost. But even when they have been getting the entry, Macko haven't been able to convert that round, and that's a big problem for them as well. We're going to hear the Dokkaebi calls come in. Are they pushing off the back of it? Are they taking any ground? Are they moving forward and getting aggressive? What value are they getting from that call? That's what you've always got to ask yourself when utility is being used. They have cleared out a lot, something that I've praised Macko for previously on Lair as well, using those Rotero drones particularly well to clear a path, clear a lot of utility, but at the minute, still not really, I don't think, confidently established inside of the map. There's only one player inside, and that's Akwi on the Demos.
He steps up here and gets a few shots onto Dav, but still walks away the loser in the end. Now there's a shotgun right up at the door. I actually love from Virtus Pro how they responded here, Tim. They knew that there was a push coming in towards East, and immediately 2 players have gone aggressive there, trying to step into it and force these players back, or at the very least get a kill from it as well. But Macko, yet again, unfortunately, lack a little bit of teeth in this round. They're going to get chewed up and spat out by these players of Virtus Pro. I'm more than happy to roll at the red carpet for them.
Just lacking on intel a little bit as well. I've got to say that 5 drones on the field, 3 people, or 2 people at the time dead, and they're able to just, Virtus Pro able to swing onto balcony, and the player there has no idea that the swing is coming. Dora on the Zero just gets taken out super easy, doesn't challenge it, and so again, you know, what intel is coming back in from those drones? Pasha's going to find 2 and close out a flawless round, but yet 5 drones in the field, what intel is coming from those 2 players who are dead to say you're going to get swung? There's somebody, you know, where is this picture being built up for Macko of what's going on and what they're facing?
Just rough. Really rough. And in a way, I will remind everyone, it's not the end of the world if they lose this game as well. They go down to that lower bracket. There's still a chance they get to fight through it. Though, you are then out of lives. That's when things start looking really, really precarious, because if you can win yourself a couple of games, you're like, these teams in this game need to win 2 games to make it so they qualify to EWC. teams playing tomorrow have to win 1 game to qualify for EWC. If you lose 3 games in a row, this game now, and your lower bracket game, and then you go into the 5th or 6th place match and you lose that one, you do not make it to EWC. If there's 6 teams, 5 will go. It would suck to be that one team that does not. And for Macko, I think playing like this, they'll be looking at themselves and saying, we can't keep playing like this, boys. We can't look so toothless in these games. We've got to bring a little bit more fire to the field. They've got 2 more rounds in which to do it in this half. Otherwise, Vertus Pro, they may border like a defender-sided map because it would have been across 12 rounds of play. They have won all 12 defenses if it carries on like this.
Into the action phase we go, round 5. Macko in serious trouble. Backs to the wall, as you quite rightly point out. There's the numbers just not stacking up for them at the minute. And it feels like Virtus Pro are cruising towards another easy victory here on board. This was after the map pick, you know, what I said, really, they need to get Lair because you feel like border is going to go to Virtus Pro. So that then kind of takes us into Chalet. It felt like if Macko could have got Lair, the game kind of becomes winnable for them because, you know, yeah, you think Virtus Pro probably take border with the way they've played it so far through the stage, but then we go to Chalet where Macko have already been able to get a win against them. So it's kind of anybody's at that point, but it's not going to get that far given that they couldn't get Lair and it's not looking good for them on border. They do manage to get an opener. They take down Dam, which is big because Virtus Pro have made really great use of the Toxic Babe canisters of smoke throughout both Lair and border so far. So taking that utility off the board, really good for Macko. Gives them a bit of quite literally breathing space, but can they convert the round? It's something I was critical of previously. They get the entry, they don't convert the round. They need to make this man advantage pay now.
Blessing is, there's not a whole lot to slow Lolo down at this point. You know, bring in the dock would be cool, get a track on, have that Blackbeard run someone down if you need to. A lot of pressure that you can apply. They've got control of Office. They got East Stairs this time without so much as a hitch because they moved pretty fast. Inside 45 seconds, they were inside the building. They weren't mucking around, and now they have full visibility on towards Pasha on the Valkyrie, who stood in nice and tight. He is dead to rights here unless he can just crouch and walk across the breach, no problem. Oop.
Still managing to move him around, but not kill! It's beautiful from Pasha! He has no right! He has no right, Des, to find that kill onto Tep! And he drops that. How do you play against that? How do you play against that?
That is disgusting. Why are you turning around? What are we doing? No!
I'd be turning around, Des! Macko don't know what day is when Pasha's hitting shots like that!
They don't know they're up from the down at this point as well, Tim. At least they get one more back. Dora trying to drag his team through this game. Yet again, he has as many kills as the rest of his team combined. It was the same back in that first half of Lair. And the trend, sadly, is continuing. Not one the rest of the team will be too happy about. They've got to win a 2 versus 3. But that Pasha shot is still living in my head rent free. Like, oh, he's quite done to the view one here. Tim is not too careful. Gonna find himself stepping on 4, but no, he's right up against his man. Hasn't got in his foot, my bad. Gets at least one for himself, and now they're down to a 2 versus 2. No C4s in back pocket, it's worth stressing. But at this point, you can spit up Lolo and he'll die, Tim. That's exactly what Pasha does. 2 easy kills for himself, and Virtus Pro take 5. That headshot that he hit, though, I swear he must have said about 10% of his head and still got the first time headshot.
Just completely and utterly disgusting. Just nobody has any business hitting that shot. The fact that Pasha comes out, I feel for Macko because I can't even really be critical of him. They've sent the nade in there. Pasha's moved. They've hit a couple of shots onto it. Like, they're doing the right things. They're doing it the right way. And then Pasha's just going to hit this shot and then just drop down the hatch and get away with it. Like, he cannot keep getting away with this, Des.
He can't keep getting away with it. Absolutely one of those moments.
It really is. He cannot.
But it's another one of those situations where, for Macko, like, you're in that position. You feel like, okay, we've got something going here. We've got a guy under pressure. Like, surely we can win this one out. And as I said before, like, reverse clutches, like Virtus Pro, I put very low down the list of teams that have been clutched against. Again, I really want to go and check those numbers, but I just don't see it ever really being a thing because they're just so disciplined, so hard to beat, so capable as a group of players, as we're seeing yet again today. But they're going to be hard to beat. I've got a question for you, Tim, actually. So during the break, I became aware of a tweet.
I don't want to know. I don't want to hear about this. I don't.
Called Ace of Toronto. Now, you're called Ace of Pyrite, are you not?
I am.
So why did Ace of Toronto tweet at Ace of Pyrite talking about his garden during the tech pause is making me stay tuned in? Only you would write that.
No, it's not my ult, Des. That is not it. That's just somebody who enjoyed me explaining what I was doing with my garden. But because in the talent group chat, you all keep rinsing me saying I'm going on about it. Now you've just got a perfect opportunity when I say, look, see, the people want to know. You've got a perfect chance now to say that it's me. It's not me.
That's exactly
it's not my
what
ult.
someone who has an ult would say.
No, I'm not playing.
Well,
Ace of Toronto is just a very good fan.
Nah, of course you'd say that. It's your ult account. Anyway, a smoke coming on towards this window here, going to force them back at least for a second. Zachary takes it a couple of breaths at the same time, but we're back to the same woes of Lair almost here, Tim, where Macko just look. There's 4 players outside East here and outside this window that have been sat static for about 20 seconds because they can't do anything.
They're going to get the opener. Can they convert it this time? Difficult when you're going up against a team with Pasha, who's going to hit shots like he did in the last round. 5 versus 4. Stan that's taken down with the lesions. So a few goo mines that they won't need to deal with, but no shield to try and work around them this time. 4 versus 4 as Joystick manages to find Dora. Vertus Pro just always have an answer, don't they? But I was just going to say, as they get that advantage again, but no always finds Ghost at the same time and proves my point. They always have an answer. 3 versus 3. Pretty close to start here at Macko. They've got themselves into waiting area, but it feels like they're kind of having to cut corners a little bit. Beautiful from Lolo. If we're going to celebrate Pasha's, we've got to celebrate that. Tep manages to find Pasha. 3 versus 1. Surely this is the round for Macko with the plant going down as well. The final kill comes in and Acqui locks it out. Macko get themselves on the board.
This is following Lair a little bit too closely for my liking, Tim, because it's gone exactly the same way again, where they get the 1 round of breathing room and then they got slapped in 2 rounds on the other half back on Lair. And I'm a little bit nervous now that with VP swapping over to the attacking side, that is exactly what we're going to see. It was much better from them, granted, but I'm just a bit worried that it's too little, too late yet again.
Exactly that. I would completely agree. I think that Virtus Pro's aggression is going to really help them on the attack here. They're going to come in, they're going to get aggressive, they're going to try to take ground, they'll get opening kills. I'm going to say the same as I said for Lair. Macko need the next 2 to 3 rounds. They need to get as many as they can before Virtus Pro inevitably, and I will say I think it's inevitable that they find that attack that takes them onto the 6 point, that gives them the map point opportunities. It's not to say that it's inevitable that they win. Macko can overturn this, but it needs to be best foot forward. And that round sets them up for it. They were much more aware of what was going on. They hit a couple of really nice shots. Lolo and Teb, where I know we waxed lyrical about Pasha's the round before. I'm not going to get into a debate of whether it was good or Pasha's was ludicrous, but there was 2 really, really nice shots there from Lolo and Teb that got them into that one, gave them the 3v1, and they got the round done. They've just got to forget everything else and build on that 1 round.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay. And almost as if following the trend, Tim, we've got always straight across on the Fuse. We've already seen what the Fuse can do on Lair, and Border is another map where there is a lot of soft furnishings and floors that can be smashed to pieces by those Fuse charges. Probably what you're seeing on Macko's side, they're trying to lock things down a little bit. They've got the castle on side here, was not banned away by Vertus Pro. That clash has followed him once again. And here it's that Azami going away. As I mentioned earlier, it's one of their most banned operators, and not all surprised to see it taken away from Macko. But it does mean things like a mirror or like a castle, those other 2 architects can get brought along.
I like this bit of aggression from Macko. Having a look, can we catch anybody out early? Can we get aggressive? Can we take a leaf out of Virtus Pro's book on the defense? Don't let them get comfortable. That's the last thing that you want Virtus Pro here, is inside of the map and comfortable. The Roteros will start rolling on in. Pasha taking those castle barricades out, just removing these defenses 1 piece at a time. But the big thing to watch out for here, bottom right of your screen, those player cards. At the minute, Virtus Pro not inside of the map, and that is the big thing. Can they get in? Can they get established?
As long as Vertus Pro are mindful of the potential for some aggression to come out of the break door itself, they'll be completely fine here. Imagine probably Macko feel a little bit hesitant to try and do so themselves when the pressure is building up out here. Dan sniffing around below as well, just waiting for that head to appear. They know that he's there, sees the gun, but not quite the head, and that's what he's looking for. That's what he's hoping for. Is it another going to be a Pasha case where he gets the shit, a pixel and gets a headshot? Oh, there it is! Oh, he's done it again! Vertus Pro, you give them a literal pixel and they will take the whole damn screen, Tim. Another 5 versus 4 and they're off to a flying start.
Just beautiful stuff. Just beautiful stuff from Dan. I don't think anybody in the world would want to play this Virtus Pro side today. You know, yet we can talk about Macko missing opportunities at times, but Virtus Pro have just been on a different level as well. You can see that they're feeling it.
Nice.
They do miss Lolo led prone though. And again, a good kill from Lolo, just keeping Macko active in this one. Might just get aggressive on the challenge here, but no, can't find his shots. Dora taken down on the door, and that's going to be, again, that worst case scenario for Macko, finding themselves 6-1 down and needing 5 rounds back to back. It's not looking good for them, Des. They are stood on the edge, and it looks like Virtus Pro are ready to give them a shove.
Yes. It is, again, looking like a perfect mirror replication of what we saw back on Lair. Rather than a round 3 or end of round 3 tack timeout, here it's coming in when they are 6-1 down. 6-1, Tim. They got to win 5 in a row here if they want to battle their way back in. Otherwise, it is lights out. They go to the lower bracket, and they'll have to wait to see who it is that they play against after tomorrow's games.
Yeah, this is going to have to be one hell of a timeout, Des. I think that's fair to say. Gonna have to be one hell of a timeout. We've seen better performances from Macko throughout the EML stage. I think ultimately they've just met their match today, big time. You know, Virtus Pro have, like I said, just been on a bit of a different level. I don't think anybody in the world would have been desperate to play against this Virtus Pro side today with the way that they've played. You know, plenty of multi-kills thrown in there, some beautiful shots. Pasha, down, we've seen them. You know, just taking every opportunity to punish Macko at every turn, whether they've made a mistake or not. You know, I think it would be very harsh to say it was a mistake, you know, to leave your head showing above the balustrade there, because let's be honest, it was a couple of pixels. Like, it's not a mistake. Like, that's just Dan being Dan. But yeah, Virtus Pro looking great. It's kind of difficult not to praise them at the minute and not to, you know, go on about how good they've been, because it's just been a pleasure to watch Virtus Pro today.
It has. They've really turned up and they've played in their fine form, as we know that they often can. Come up against a Macko that has looked a little bit scared to face off against them for most of it, which again has not been like the Macko that we've seen for most of the stage. Yeah. One team just looks like they woke up on the right side of the bed today, the other one a little less so. This could be it though. Here we go with 2 shields on side for Virtus Pro. That Doc could be being brought along, and of course the Grim and the IQ to join things up, just to make sure there are no nasty surprises coming in from those yokai drones of Dora.
One question I will ask of Virtus Pro is, you know, having a great performance is, of course, fantastic at any point of the playoffs, but I often talk about form in when you get to sort of knockout stages of tournaments, which is effectively, you know, where we are now in the playoffs, and it's about hitting form at the right time. And, you know, Virtus Pro need to be careful that they haven't and don't peak too soon. There's bigger challenges that are going to come along, and that's no disrespect to Macko, but there are teams from that top end of the table, G2, that, you know, Virtus Pro are going to have to play in their next match if they win this one, and they need to deliver like this again, so consistency is a big question.
It is. Well, pressure starting to build up now for players of Virtus Pro. First phone call coming on through. Let's see what pressure applies. And sure enough, always is trying his very best. Almost loses his life on the charge on through. Great use of that soft wall coming out. Joystick falling down. Dan, who's in fine form, carries on the Blackbeard, finds one for himself and escapes out the window. 4 versus 4.
Come on,
Yep, not a terrible start for Macko. Aku's taken some damage along the way there, but can certainly still play his part in the round. They've got the intel. The yokai drone is just going to ping out Dan at main door and just let them know that that's where the Blackbeard is looking to get aggressive from. But he's actually headed back up to the top floor now. Maybe looking to, again, use that shield to create space and get on in. Pasha again with a double. Lolo and Teb taken out, and it looks like it could be the last breaths of a dying Macko here on border.
Final flame about to be expired. C4 in hand, at least hoping to find something or someone, but Virtus Pro team, they're in a 4 versus 2. They are not the kind of team to give away these situations. They'll be hoping for a clutch of some kind, but Pasha's going to get the final 2. Like a ghost in that final round, just swept through that team, extinguished the flame, and gave them 2 7-1 wins over Macko. A dominant performance by Virtus Pro.
4K for Pasha in the final round, and who else really? He had a 3K back in round 5, a 3K back in round 3. You know, one of the top-rated player in EML through the stage, and he's proved why. Absolutely phenomenal performance from Pasha on board, and the rest of the team stepped up around him as well. Vertus Pro, great win.
And Anne called us, said we were lacking enthusiasm. No, Anne, we just knew what the reality was. Can't wait to hear yours and the guys' thoughts after this break. Let's go to that now.
And another 7-1 for Virtus Pro sees them move through in the playoffs. What a dominant matchup from them. I think this has to be up there with the fastest best of threes we've ever had.
I mean, 14-2, so...
Yeah.
And also in a speedy fashion, in the sense that, yes, the attacks on the side of Macko in the first game were really slow, but also some huge failed rushes, some great reactions from VP. The exact same, and we see it there, by the way, the exact same early aggression that we expected to see from VP. The picks from Pasha, the picks from Dan as well. These E-stairs being unable to be controlled on the side of Macko. And then look at the difference of gaps. Whenever Virtus.pro switches to attack, it's almost flawless every single time. Jack, that was one of the biggest gaps that we've seen between two teams in EML playoffs.
Yeah, I think coming into it, we always knew that for Virtus.pro that form was temporary, class is permanent, and they did get away from that map that they've been struggling in Clubhouse, in the best of ones. And I think for Macko, who'd been overachieving on their stats, and Virtus.pro, who were probably underachieving on their stats, what we saw realistically was, I don't know, it was like boys against men. It really was. It was a clinical, complete, professional performance from Virtus.pro. It was well researched. They clearly knew the maps that they were going to. Everybody does when they play Virtus.pro, but they executed it flawlessly as well. Honestly, a little bit sad they didn't get 2 7-0s back-to-back, because they could have got that today. They were that good. I don't think Macko really, if they look in the heart of hearts, put in a performance that's true to themselves. I think on most days they would be a little bit closer, even if the result would be the same. That being said, Virtus.pro just didn't let them have any success. It was really, really good to see from Virtus.pro. And, you know, as you see the stats here, every single player putting in incredible stats across the whole series. In terms of EPS, the expected player score, every player for Virtus.pro above that 100 mark. And then it looks bad, being honest, on the side of Macko. I think for Akwi as well. I don't want to highlight a particular player. He's had a torrid time today. I think that might be the lowest EPS I've ever seen.
Let's highlight Pasha here. Let's highlight his kills per round. 1.26. What have we said at the beginning of the stage? He was our MVP for the group stage of EML with more than 100 kills in a span of 9 maps. We go into playoffs. He's playing a BO3 and he drops 21 kills again. By the way, how many kills did he drop on Chalet against Macko during the stage? Exactly the same.
Trick question.
21 kills again. He dropped 21 kills in one map against Macko on Chalet, by the way. And he dropped again 21 kills here in 2 maps. Look at this. I mean, the aggression from Pasha, everything is on point. It's like literally a cyber with that side that I guess nobody uses. Honestly, I just want to ask him, but like it seems like the fact that VP has been a little bit more chaotic, a little bit faster paced, ready to aggress together, ready to take more risk, it's making him blossom in that roster because he can then really fully thrive without the same amount of discipline and pressure that was on him.
Yeah, crazy stuff that we're seeing from him and the whole of Virtus.pro today. I mean, obviously, after all these highlights that we've seen from Pasha, I'm glad we get to speak to him again as well, as he should be joining us for the interview here today. Good evening, Pasha. Congratulations on the big victory here today. Did you expect it to be so dominant?
Well, it's the best opponent for us, honestly, in this playoffs. So it was I expected us to win, but I was ready for everything. I was ready to lose. We lost already from 4-2 against them on Chalet, so I was ready for everything. But we were doing good today, actually. Like everybody did one KD, everybody popped in the important moments, so it's just everything was under control today.
Pasha, talk to me about the maps. Have you been saving Lair, perhaps, for the best of threes?
Well, we saved Lair, and as you can see, we did kind of decent on it.
Decent. You can say that. Yeah, he was pretty good. Yeah.
Well, and actually, Macko had a chance to pick a consulate against us, and they did not. So maybe that was their mistake.
Can I just ask very quickly as well about a specific map which you have been playing, if we go back to the group stage, Clubhouse. So it's a map that you've been playing a lot. Is there anything that you feel on that map? Because it's not gone too well for you there.
Well, Clubhouse changed a lot with the new ban system. because you can literally just ban all the electricity, all the breachers. So you will have a like very bad breach, especially when you breach with Hibana, it can bug as well. So like Clubhouse is kind of broken map in my opinion right now. It's same as Bank. Like new ban system is kind of screw the things there, but it doesn't like change the thing we drew our clubhouses hardly. Like we still play that map a lot, we like it, but we basically just can't win it.
Okay.
We just troll so much, like we keep choking. That's it.
Pasha, I need to ask you, what do you think is the main reason for your individual performance this stage? What are the guys doing to enable you better previously to other stages, I guess?
Well, I changed back to my old setup, like old mouse, old mousepad. I think that's the reason. Maybe like it gives a lot of confidence to me. Like I can do basically I played whole time on Superlight, like first model. So I changed back to it. Like Superlight 2 is kind of bad, if you know, you know. So I just that's it. Like new system we did with team. Like it also can kind of like reveal me as a fragger potential. So maybe that's it as well.
Do you think that more aggressive playstyle, the faster pace, is helping you also thrive as a fragger?
Yeah, obviously. I usually can pick the like any operator I want and play whatever I want on the official game. Like when we're trying to win actually. Like I can see the gaps, I can see the like strong positions, strong operators, and I could literally pick it just for myself and do like my work, my 20% work, so team can win the round basically.
Now a question that I've been wanting to ask you for a little while. Cybertruck, I think people call it.
I can hear you now.
Oh?
Yeah, we had a
cut
brief
out for a
cut and you
second.
can ask
Oh,
again.
okay. Well, I mean, good that you can hear me now. But a question that I wanted to ask you about the scope or the sight that you use, like the Cybertruck one with the two like dashes and the dot in the middle. Not a lot of people use it, but you do use it on a lot of guns. What is it that makes it so good for you?
Well, first of all, I steal it from Dan because I thought like Dan dropped plus 50 on the last SI when the whole team wasn't on point, like wasn't performing at all, and he played this crosshair and literally killed everybody, like plus 50. We placed at 9th, 12, so like I don't know. Dan was popping up. I tried it. I liked it. I basically using it on mostly on the defense because I don't know, sometimes on defense I literally can see people because of hollow A. Like it's how you can say it, like the frame is so bad,
too big.
like it's too big, it closes a lot of area you can see, so I tried hollow C, it works, so yeah.
All right, cool. I'm glad you enlightened us on this tech that you and Dan have been running a lot and has been working for you. Now, one more question before we let you go. Tomorrow you have to play against G2. And that match you two played in the group stage was a very close one, 8-7 on the bank that then went in the way of G2. What are you going to do to make sure that you do actually have the upper hand on G2 tomorrow?
Well, nothing can say, like literally we'll see it tomorrow.
Okay, well, that leaves a lot for us to guess and find out tomorrow. Pasha, we kept you here for a very long time, but thank you so much for answering all of our questions.
Thank you so much.
And good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, bye.
There's a lot of insights we were getting from him, all kinds of different things. So that whole matchup, the run from S side here, it was great.
And I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of my mouse when I'm at home first and foremost, go back to an old setup. I'm going to use the site that Dan's currently using.
100% win rate.
Do my 20% and not tell G2 anything. Done.
Yeah, that's the checklist. Whenever you need to go and win and go undefeated just like VP. But it does tell us one thing. The triggers for professional players to trigger the confidence, what are they? Sometimes just in your own head.
Yeah, it's confidence.
Comfort zone, getting it there, using the mousepad you've used whenever you were grinding Challenger League for some reason, getting on a side that you've seen your teammate pop off with 50 kills. Yeah. It's actually funny to see.
It's like a lot of placebo effect going on, right?
Yeah. How do you call that when you do certain actions because it gives you luck, or you think it gives you luck?
It's like superstitious.
Superstitious. That's what
I knew the English word.
I'm
really glad.
I speak good English, but you better. Yeah. So yes, superstitious.
Yes.
All right, yes. I think we need a bit of a break here to really regather ourselves as well after that really, really quick best of 3 we have just witnessed here. But don't worry, we have another best of 3 that hopefully for us, I guess, won't go as fast as the first one just did. After the break, it's Falcons and Genji. Welcome back to the Europe Mini League playoffs, and before we get into the second game of the day, there's something important that we need to highlight because we just saw Macko play, obviously our newly promoted team to the Europe Mini League. They made it here through the Challenger Series, through the Tier 2 finals, and whilst we're still very much in the middle of the Combine, which is our first Tier 2 tournament, the qualifiers for the Rainbow Rumble will be starting up very soon as well, and that's something really important that we need to highlight because that will see teams like Macko or like Wild, for example, qualify to next year's EML.
Yeah, I think if you look at the results of Combine last year and then the results of Rainbow, the Rainbow Rumble, you look at the players that are highlighted there, most of the time, they're the best looked prospect for European team to pick up. Whenever there is the SI that ends and they start to rebuild. You look at Wild, for example, they just come from Tier 2, from Wild Academy. They're right now 7th place in group stage. They've outplaced BDS, they've outplayed Fnatic, they've outplaced Wolves, full of players that are extremely experienced. For me, it's the perfect moment basically to have a spotlight, to gain your first experience. Even if you're not a long-lasting team. I mean, some teams, they go it as a mix. They still get their name out there.
And that's the beauty of the tournaments like this, is it's not necessarily just the teams that are already existing. You can literally sign up and go and play the open qualifiers with your friends, and you can go all the way.
Feel the temperature.
It's ultimately what Wild Academy did back in the day, right? And they've gone all the way to becoming an EML team. And I know Project X, who won Rainbow Rumble last year, Dyer, Hungary, Jay, I think, was on that team.
Maybe
Rexon as well. A lot of them have gone on to other teams. I know Jay's currently ripping it up in Combine, but I think, Hungary and that, they're on GK as well. Could have had a shot at getting into EML. It was Wild that got the space over them, but a lot of these teams that go far in these Tier 2 tournaments are the ones that are making that step up.
Yeah, that's the big thing, obviously, that we're looking for. And whilst this is going to be the second tournament that we have in the Tier 2 system, obviously, to gather these Tier 2 points, which is what really important is, if you're thinking like, oh no, I'm too late, I missed the first tournament, don't worry. To take Macko as an example, they didn't even play the main event of Combine either, and still they managed to make their way to the Tier 2 finals and into EML. Obviously, the qualifiers will be starting within a month, but just to round things up very shortly and give you all the information on the Rainbow Rumble, we have this video.
Two bodies stacked up behind him. That C4 doesn't go off in time. No, it does actually. But it will just... What?
Maybe that's what Project X need right now. Maybe they need that opening pick.
And Leon finds that pick to be in us. But no! The Sen's wheel goes the wrong way. Ibsen! Hungary's just walking. They've opened the hatch and they dropped it. And they're not going to be subtle about it at all. Well, they're just jumping into the waiting arms of Wild. And it's going to be an absolute massacre.
Oh dear. Body starting to fall apart.
You can just see the link there where you can sign up through the Challenger mode. So if you've got your friends at home and you think, I have what it takes to play against these teams, play against Falcons, play against Genji in the playoffs, for example, in the EML, then there's no better thing to do than go to the website and sign up with your team. Because as we just mentioned, even if you haven't played Combine at all, you can still have a chance of making it to the Tier 2 finals, make your way to the Challenger Series, and make your way back into EML. I'm so happy that this whole process is back of teams actually growing through the Tier 2 competitions, through Challenger Series. It puts so much importance on what players are playing for in these grassroots tournaments.
Yeah, and also I think it's a good test for anyone. I don't think you necessarily need to have a high quality team and have been screaming together for a super long time. Going out there, feeling what Siege is really, because it's when you play competitive, you play the real version of the game.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Whenever you play ranked, it has nothing to do with competitive Siege. When you go into this Tier 2 tournament,
it's so much better.
And you start playing it as a team, you discover what playing the real Siege is without cheaters and having, honestly, an incredible moment in terms of team play, of tactical, and that's just like the real experience of the game that you want to have.
Yeah, it's worthwhile even if you're a silver.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
No, but for real, obviously my scrim experience was nowhere near what you two have ever done, but from the few rounds that I've done in there and playing together with a team and actually nailing a strategy, making it work perfect, it's the best feeling there is in Siege.
I basically think we're looking for 2 viewers from Twitch chat to join us free, and we'll sign up, because that could be quite fun.
The new French and French tech, I guess.
It's establishing right now. You're on Fairmont and Clash.
I'm the goalkeeper.
Oh, no, Clash is good now. You're not allowed on Clash.
Okay, so obviously the Tier 2 tournaments are important, and yes, we have mentioned the sign-ups if you do want to make your way into Tier 2 competitions. We'll focus our way back onto the playoffs and what we are playing for here in the EML with our second game of the day, Falcons and Genji. And if you look at these two teams, obviously obviously, I think our big positive and our big negative surprise in the playoffs as we currently are, especially with Falcons. We did not expect to find them here on the first day of playoffs, not making it through in that top 2 and already having to fight hard here.
Yeah, we obviously expected them to be better. We always expect of them to be the #1 seed in Europe, to be the dominating team. And I think we saw signs of weakness since SI and after Boston, really. It started with Reload, that disappointing performance there. It started then in the very first matchup of that stage when they lost to VP 7-2. Then we saw them dominate Jack and then suddenly start dropping the ball.
Exactly. There's a really curious juxtaposition with Falcons in that they've been carried very much on individual performances across the whole stage, yet have shown that they have the best team stats because those individual performances have been so strong. If we take a look at it, you can see that the players individually are absolutely all over the place. There's not that much consistency in terms of individual performance. Now, 100 EPS is an expected player score. This is Falcons' individual player performances across the stage. And you can see big climbs, big falls. And the one that I really want to highlight is the yellow line in the middle of it all. We've seen Shaiko, who is considered the best fragger in the world, by a lot of people, go negative in terms of EPS in at least 4 play days and be very up and down. That's a level of inconsistency that we're not used to. Add into that users, big ups, big downs. Leakifak and the blue line, a big grow and then a big drop off.
Yeah.
Individually, they've all had individual moments inside the games. That's been great, but it's just not being consistent from this roster, even on a personal basis. And I think that's really a reason why we did see that drop off.
I think to come back to that graphic, you're going to notice that you have 3 players that went to the highest highs, and then the same 3 players went to the lowest lows. Yeah. And that, I think, is the biggest example of how inconsistent Falcons have been, relying on individual pros to get away with those points.
And they're so good. They're so goddamn good that when those players pop off, there is nothing. It's like a tsunami. You just can't do anything against it, but you can't rely on it. And I think Falcons maybe have relied on it a little bit too much.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you are stepping up as a whole and as a team on the play day when it really matters the most, especially in these best of 3s where, survival in the playoffs is on the line, or whether you're dropping down to the low bracket or not. And they have to do that today against a team in Genji. And if we look at Genji, obviously, for themselves, there's massive improvement in this stage. They were dead last on the 5th play day, and somehow they've snuck their way into the playoffs.
If Falcons is the team of individual prowess, Genji is the team of teamwork. And it's funny to say this, because at the beginning of the stage, we're thinking they don't have teamwork. They don't have team culture. They don't get along. They criticize each other in interviews.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like a team. But then to get here, they had consistent improvement in the very last few play days.
Yeah.
And on the back of what? Of team play, of cohesion, not of individual prowess.
It was a lot of reading between the lines, particularly in those Macko interviews, but they were some of the most curious interviews I've ever seen. And it did feel like a fractured team, and it felt like there was a change towards the back end of the stage where they managed to string it together. And what's crazy is in this league of craziness that we had for EML, a couple of wings strung together, and it just flung them straight up the table. They've snuck into playoffs. I would say they are probably the weakest team by a distance in playoffs so far, but the one thing they've got going for them, which a lot of other teams in this playoffs don't at the minute, weirdly, because of all the upsets, is the fact that they do have form at the minute.
Momentum.
Yeah.
Directly.
They do. I mean, obviously, when we look at them, I mean, it seems like this team is a diesel engine, right? Even last stage as well. They need some time to warm up, and then when they finally do, they really take off.
I mean, look at the face of Macko in these interviews. look at the evolution on his face when he starts winning.
Yeah.
Look at the way he opened up time and time again. I mean, when he beats Wide, he was barely happy. He was upset, and you haven't confirmed it with him. When they beat Wolves 7-2, by the way, he started to look a little bit happier. Okay, my team's starting to play together, and then suddenly when they beat Fnatic, all right, they made it to playoff, and that's it. They have the right team culture.
Yeah. I do have one concern, however. Yes, Genji have done a great job in getting into playoffs. My one concern has actually been the opponents that they've faced and the wins that they've got.
Yeah.
Is that the teams that they've generally beaten have generally been on the weaker side. As you can see, the average EPS and the team KD, when they're against the teams below, which is the right-hand side, the white section of your screen, they have been good. When they have played against the better teams, it has been a big differential. You know, the differential between 84 EPS and 106, essentially, is massive. That's the performances differential that they're putting in against what we would class necessarily as a good team, a team above them, or a bad team, which was a team below them.
Yeah, and obviously we're seeing Falcons on the left side there with the teams that are above them. This means that it might be a really tough matchup for Genji. But the good thing is, when we last spoke to Naku, and he was really happy in the interview, he mentioned he was looking forward to the best of threes, to having that kind of safety net, to fall back if you end up losing a map, to be able to bounce back in that same series, not have to cheese off a best of one. So let's look at that map, Vito, as well then, and see where this best of three will be taking us, as we are in our first map pick from Falcons, going to Bank.
Yeah, so curious one for me straight away is that Genji have banned Shelley, which was a map that Falcons looked horrible on. That left open Bank. Now, Falcons did end their 3+ year win streak on Bank just last playday against G2. Of course, it was in circumstances where there was a big tech pause and it was an overtime, and arguably they could have, maybe should have won it. However, Falcons will always pick Bank when it's available. It is their favourite map, despite the fact that they did lose it last playday.
Now, if we move on to the other map, the one that was picked by Genji, that's going to be Control. A map that we've seen them play and win this stage, a map that isn't necessarily a favorite from the side of Falcons. We don't see them play it often. They ban it quite a lot, actually. 8 times out of 9, right?
8 times out of 9 this stage. The only time they didn't ban it, they beat our worst placed team, Fnatic, on it. And I don't know why Fnatic pulled it out, but they were happy to play Fnatic on it and did win it. And then the final map that we will see is going to be Clubhouse. Clubhouse is a firm favourite of both of these teams. In terms of Falcons, they're one of the best teams in the world at this map. They always have been. And then for Genji, they love playing it, even though they do have a losing record on it this stage.
Let's set the record straight with Genji here. Clearly, they are the challengers. But let's take a look back at their performance last year. They had a terrible group stage in stage 1, terrible group stage in stage 2. Yet every single time, they managed to qualify to LCQ, reach all the way to the grand finals, and always fall short. It's the consistent story with Genji. They're the better of the worst teams, but also the worst of the better teams. They can never beat the top 4, and they can never breach that. And today, that's basically the question that they have to answer. Can we finally beat a team from the top 4 in the BO3?
I mean, obviously the main concern there as well is that there is no LCQ this time. So if they really want to make sure they get that engine going, they got to do it now. And against the top team isn't going to be easy at all. But our match is almost ready, so we're going to get our casters back in. We're once again joined by Ace and Des. And I won't criticize you two anymore for the lack of enthusiasm. Sorry for that. How are we feeling about this matchup?
I mean, probably about how I should have felt about the last one before I realised which way it was going, to be honest with you, Anne. This is the one that I think we looked at and we said earlier on, like, this is one that feels like it should be dominant. But surely that means there's a reverse on the way, Tim, right?
Right? I mean, surely. Look, the Falcons had such a good win during EML against Genji. 7-1. They were just so dominant. I think the consistency thing that, you know, Fresh spoke about and Leo spoke about, particularly important here because it feels like we don't always know which Falcons we're going to get. So, you know, maybe there's a chance there for Genji.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a chance, obviously, and surely it can't get any more dominant than the first matchup we have seen with you two earlier today. But the first map is ready. It's time to send it to Bank.
Thank you very much, Anne. Indeed, it is. Now, Tim, let's have this conversation early because the last series was very, very dominant. It was 14-2 across the 2 maps. Do you think Genji get more rounds on the board than Macko did against VP?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think they will do. Bank's not going to be an easy start for them. I think we can say that right up front. Falcons are very good on Bank, and it's going to be a tough one. If they can get 3 or 4, I don't expect Genji to win Bank. I'm going to say it, you know, from a perspective of if Genji are going to have, very similar to I said last time, if Genji are going to win this, it's a 2-1. You've got to take them on Clubhouse, you know, win that second map, get onto Clubhouse, see what you can do there. It's still not going to be easy against Falcons. They've got such a broad map pool, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I think Macko just, they didn't really turn up with their best today. Genji, you know, hopefully they do, and they're going to be able to put a better challenge forward. I feel like they've been on an upward trajectory through the stage. I feel like we've seen their performances improve, which has then culminated with them making it to the playoffs at the end. So yeah, I think maybe we see a bit of a better performance from them.
I hope so, and I do hope it gets to be a closer game, because having 2 speed runs to start out our playoffs bracket would feel a little anticlimactic. Of course, tomorrow you've got big games to look forward to. The winner of this game plays against Secret. We already know we're getting another banger matchup between G2 and Virtus.pro. Winner of those 2 games play each other tomorrow. That's the game that we'll be casting. That'll be an awesome game as well. So a lot to look forward to, but I do think already, as we've seen for Macko and potentially Genji, this is starting to play the big boys now, and it ain't so easy once you start getting to this territory of best of 3s where they've got the most experience out of anyone else in the league. But here we go, down the base to kick things off. Falcons on the defense, you can see Genji on the attack. fair to say they've got the harder side first, but Tim, some teams do take to attacking pretty damn well. In fact, we have 2 teams in the EU that have a higher attacking % win rate than they do defending % win rate. I'll look at those teams for in a minute and let you know which ones, but I can tell you now that Genji are not one of them, which is why I'm a little bit nervous for them, especially coming up against a powerhouse like Falcons.
I mean, they've brought a lot of tools to help them get this done. They've got the Capitao, they've got the Ying, they've got the Fuse Shield, they've got, you know, plenty there. They've got the Brava that can go in and grab those bits of utility, the bulletproof cams. There's 2 of them. That's particularly what the Brava, what Macko managers needs to go in and manage to get. Take away that intel from them. Get the fuse on those hatches. You know, send some of those explosive pucks down into the site. Clear out all that utility. They've got everything they need. Capitao, Ying for your final execute. Can they put it all to proper use?
That's one thing. It's all good having the tools to do the job, Tim, but it's about coordinating as the team time and time again. Oh, leak it back. Not respecting what was going on through the soft wall there, of course. Don't always hear that getting bashed out when it's through another room, but it's a good position from Deadshot to be in, and it gives them that 5 versus 4. Let's see if the underdog can still win out around here when they've got themselves the man advantage. That was constantly the thing that tripped Match up in our last series. We hope to God Genji don't fall the same fate.
Solotov just wants to be careful he doesn't lose his life here. Going to take the drop down the elevator back towards site. Deadshot taking a little bit of damage, but a good start from Genji. They've got control. They've got a kill. They're starting to open the hatches, and there's loads of time left. 1:30. And even more importantly, as I said at the beginning, is using that utility. They still have Capitao. They still have Ying. They still have Fuse up on the board. So they have everything they need, first of all, to clear the plant site, and then second, to get in and get that plant down. Looking good for Genji with 1:10 left on the clock.
Yep, just burning through that utility. That's the most critical one. So once that's all gone, well, there's a whole minute then that we're going to have to see Falcons play this dance with death in a way. And yes, they've got 3 smokes to play onto. Fair play to Brede. He has been so patient. Hasn't opted to pop them out too soon as the push canisters do the work first. They've still got a C4 to play behind, and there comes the couple of smokes now coming out from Brede. Just popped 2 in fact here, expecting there to be a plant going down. We know there's no plant so far, but they are baiting everything out.
Yeah, this is, again, really, really good, really well-organised attack from Genji. Good understanding of exactly where the power positions are for Falcons, and they're dealing with them brilliantly. There is going to be an opportunity for them to put this plant down sooner rather than later. Solotov does manage to pick up Macko. It's still not one of those operators that is the tip of the spear, but that is a big one. Taking down the Fuse Shield, putting him on the ground, and that's the diffuser down cold as well. 3 versus 2 now, effectively.
They're a bit stuck here, though, because no one's actually, I was going to say no one's in server to pick this up and try and get it down, but no, Deadshot's gone through. Azox, I think, had to kill him there to be able to get onto the default plant spot, and they've managed to find the closing kills. Anyway, a bit of a pushing from server side, and the hatch drop at the same time, and they get round 1 off to a good start already.
I really like that from Genji. Really good attack, ticking boxes. You know, nothing spectacular, nothing crazy, nothing wild, but they located all of the players on the side of Falcons. They knew exactly where they were. They went in and dealt with them. Good entry onto Leak. In fact, that's another box ticked. Forced Solotov out of elevator. Dealt with the utility with the fuse. The operators that they brought along, you saw that the game plan there was perfect in how it sort of went through step by step. They used the fuse to clear all the Vulcan canisters. They had the Brava go in and hack the bulletproof cam. They had the hatches and used them. It was all a little bit kind of scrappy in the last 10 seconds when, yes, they lost the planter and they had to kind of just deal with that situation. But overall, very, very good from Genji. I like that.
10 seconds left.
What I like most is how they showed they could recover when things were starting to go south. So it's maybe showing a little bit of resilience there. The ability to turn things around is what you want to see. For Falcons, though, now the attention turned towards them. They're the ones who've got to show something in these starting rounds. Tim, yes, they lost that entry early on. It was leaking back. He was out on the road. It wasn't the end of the world. But they knew they were played, they were beaten at the utility game, despite having those Vulcan canisters, despite having smokes and everything else to play behind. The C4s, there was always an answer from Genji. So now the onus is on them to be the ones that find a way to level up in this round.
Straight away, we see those castle barricades being taken out. Solotov looking for a little bit of safety inside of there, but is going to have that removed. In position to hop over that balcony if the opportunity presents itself, and to be able to pressure these players that are out on rappel. Of course, going out of the windows is not quite so attractive anymore. That the animation has been changed, so you don't ADS on the way down. It just gives that second of delay where you can't really fight with those on the rappel. So we have seen a lot less of that. Not to say that we never see it, but we've certainly seen a lot less. The Yorkar drone just having a look around there, seeing what intel can be gathered.
Of course, they're shot on that IQ though. Again, showing that perspective to the side. Normally, you'd see like a Valkyrie on side to justify having to bring along an IQ, or maybe a whole bunch of bulletproof cameras alongside a Valk. Here, I think it's more about those Yokais, and just wanted to not have any nasty surprises coming out from Falcons the later we get into these rounds. So, nice ideas. Also, not a massive lean on towards flashes in this round, I was going to say, because we've got the Warden on side. However, maybe you've got to worry about that Warden regardless, Tim, because it's Brede, and he's just found 2 kills. Shaiko a third as well. This round might be over for it, even though the chance to get started. Yeah, it's crumbled a little bit for Genji there. They wanted to get aggressive and get themselves into Janitor, but as you say, running into the Warden did not pan out for them. Brede able to hold on nicely to that key area. We always see this top floor site really is determined by Janitor and whether the defenders can hold it or not. Hang on a minute, though. Skies manages to find Leak. In fact, there's a lot of time left on the board. 2 versus 3, it's doable, but Deadshot is so low health. Uses peaks around and gets his kill, and then from there on, it's plain sailing for Falcons. They level it up. It's 1-1. Actually like that final swing coming out there onto the player who was stuck by the windows too. Like, they knew that he was pinned in because of the castle barricade, and rather than sitting and holding these angles and hoping to try and time a 2 versus 1, they actually went in and tried to force out that 1 versus 1, and the expectation timing was then on their side, and they could make the 2v1 swing if they wanted to, rather than let him manipulate the situation and force out separate 1v1s. They knew Deadshot was dead to right, stuck out there on a square. He had no HP to his name, held down by the Janitor player. Nothing really more to be said. But for me, it was Brede here. This second shot, like, can't even see the man and still gets himself a freebie. That was the round done and dusted at that point. Might get a nice shot or 2 back from the players on Genji, but nowhere enough to see it wrapped up at that point. One apiece. Falcons showed they are here to play.
Yeah, continuing on that rotation, they're not going to go back to basement. It will be open area and cafeteria for them this time, and then they will, in the next 3 rounds, just do the same rotation again. This time we are going to see the Valkyrie brought along. Solotov will be the one that's going to be deploying those black-eye cameras. Deadshot was on the IQ. Interestingly, he's going to take the 6-speed this time onto the Ash. So, you know, the time that you really do kind of want that IQ along to deal with those hidden cameras is going to be the time that they don't have it.
This is where the nut can really come into effect, right? Not that it matters too much. Ignore it. Forget about it. You know, let them believe that the information is safe so you can have the nut go and do a little bit of danger. It's all of it. They're playing like 4D chess at this point, Tim. They've got to nail down.
We'll see how nailed down it is as the round progresses. Just trying a little sneak through into Garage with the Nux. Guys continues that. Brede takes down Azox, but look at this. Asta has managed to get in on the Blackbeard, but is a little bit stranded at the minute. Needs some support, and this is exactly it. The Glass of Macko moving in, manages to take down Shaiko. 3 versus 2. Falcons standing up well, but again, Genji have answers. They have trades.
Solotov really needs to get that kill. There you go. He's got the down. It's a 1 versus 1. Solotov against Deadshot with 2 minutes still on the clock. I want to point out that shot's definitely give him away here. And no, Deadshot, where are you looking? Not towards the right spot, apparently. Falcons up to 2-1, but it could have easily been 2-1 to Genji as well. That one was close to him. Both teams showing they're here to play, just like in that last round, as we said. Keeping it pretty close to the wire. Love it.
What a round, just back and forth between them, ending with the 1v1. You don't really want to be up against Solotov in that situation, though. You see his ability there, even at long range, over obstacles, still finding his shots. I feel like Genji just got a little bit ahead of themselves there. They kind of got caught in a number of things. You've got the Knock walking in through basement, but if the Blackbeard's just going to run into site with support from the Glass, that's 2 very different things there at that point. You know, your Knock isn't really involved in that or supporting that. I think the Knock was looking to deal with anybody that was maybe lurking underneath, that was going to try and play up blue stairs. But they kind of circumvented that by just rushing on into site anyway. So, yeah, I think Genji maybe just a little bit ahead of themselves and weren't really in a position. You know, we saw that the shield got dealt with very easily inside of site because although they went in and got a kill, they were just very quickly felt isolated, yeah, I feel like they just didn't really quite have everything that they needed to be doing that.
All right, Let's see if we can battle back in this second quarter as we get underway with a fresh take on all 3 sites. I think looking back at that first round, of course, we remarked it was a good start when they managed to catch out Leaky-Pack, and they manipulated the util game extremely well there, Genji did. I think it's been more of the same here. We're seeing the same operators coming along. You got the Candelas, you got the Ying, you got the Shields. They made really, really good use of the fuse as well to make sure all those Vulcan canisters were taken out in rapid time, which left the side of Falcons relying on those smoke canisters, on any C4s. They've only got the one in back pocket here, and it also just kind of show that respect again, Tim, and they aren't trying to deceive the util with that IQ, sorry, with the Nook. The IQ is on side to help them deal with it as well. So again, just real smart respect being shown by Genji and showing they aren't underestimating Falcons here in any way, shape or form.
No, absolutely. You feel like they could really do with getting themselves another round now. Falcons getting 2 back-to-back. They are one of those teams that you do worry about their momentum. They will just power through teams if they get the opportunity. Last time Genji attacked this site really, really well. Leaky-Pack this time is not going to get caught out in open like he did by Deadshot last time. He's actually playing inside of Archives, so they've just extended that hold on the mid-floor a little bit. If Leaky-Pack can win a fight or 2 here and prevent access to the hatch to top blue, it really helps them hold on to server and keep Genji out of those difficult positions.
Nadally seeing a bit of pressure in towards. But nothing else is actually going to keep the attackers at bay for a second, and I thought Leaky-Pack then surely had Skies dead to right, but that's another shot this game that we've seen Skies nail pretty bang on. Making sure in every single turn, the Falcons know what it is they're coming up against here, and that's some very, very capable gunners. I mean, Leaky-Pack, bless him, he's 0-3 at this point, can't find his way into the game, or out of a paper bag, it seems. Genji, once again, like in round 1, have that numbers advantage, but they aren't yet asking questions of the side, Tim. They aren't yet starting to clear out that utility, and that could be what is their downfall.
Yeah, he's had a tough start here as Leaky-Pack in terms of individual performance, but it doesn't always really matter for a player like Leaky-Pack. Obviously, he'd rather be on the board than not, but as the IGL, he's now sat there, and he doesn't have to worry about his own play. He's just cycling through POVs, he's taking everything in that's going on, and he's building that mental picture, and he can sort of command his team from that position to tell them exactly, you know, where the attack is coming from, what they need to be covering. So it's not the end of the world for Falcons, but 4 versus 5, we've seen Genji do a really good job of positioning themselves to execute on this site back in round 1. There's a good chance they're going to do the same again.
I just worry more about the time element here, Tim. That's what's starting to worry me a little bit. Still got 2 smokes to play behind here, and that could be enough. Breeday's being so patient. One's come out. Hasn't yet tossed out in the second. I thought he was worried for a second there, had been shot out, but no, he holds on. We've got a C4, and we've got a smoke to play behind here, as these Candelas now start raining on down. Another smoke coming on through. C4 still in back pocket. Plant is going on down. Uses has got to be the man here, but he's still inside the goal at this point, so he can't move because of the fire. C4's coming out, but it's a little bit too late, I'm afraid. We'll get half a C4 down on towards Azox, not enough to finish him off, and now it's panic stations for Falcons.
Yeah, with 5 left alive for Genji, there's no way that they should be losing this post plant. They need to get up above, hold on to it, which is exactly what they do. They know that the retake is going to come. We see users cut down Solotov, manages to find one. Asa's there for the immediate trade. Another good attack onto basement from Genji, really showing, you know, how to do a default plant. They got the fire arrows in exactly the right places. Under Red Hatch, stop the push from Garage. Into Red Corridor, stop the push from Gold. Great stuff from Genji. They lock down another, and it is 2-2.
Wonderful stuff. Yeah, looking really, really put together. And again, for me, it's also how they know what the other side is going to do, that they've kind of set up a plan to manipulate Falcons a little bit. They know what the util game plan is going to be from them. They make sure they completely drain them dry before they start worrying about making the execute happen itself. And in this post plant, they've played it absolutely beautifully as well. Again, really showing a lot of discipline. And we joked about it during our previous game that, okay, because the game that we thought would be really close hasn't been close. The next one that we thought was going to be really, really like far apart in terms of quality is actually really close. And so far, that's exactly what we've had. Really happy to see Genji being competitive here and staying with Falcons neck and neck.
So far, so good, really. I think if you're Genji, you're on the attack of Bank, you're going to be quite happy if you come away, especially with a 3-3. I mean, the trend wouldn't suggest they're going to have to overturn that because Falcons, of course, won the next 2 sites in the rotation. But yeah, for Genji on the attack, 2 is going to be the minimum. 3 is a little bit of a bonus, and then they can see what they can do on the defense. So far, so good, and they keep themselves active in it. So back up to the top floor we go. I'm going to raise the question again. Janitor, I always talk about Janitor when we're up on this top floor stand. It's because it's so important. They've got Brede in there on the Warden again. We saw last time he got a double kill from this position and just completely held back the attack. It crumbled after that. How are they going to deal with it? What is the plan from Genji here? They cannot go in and just ignore it. They tried to push in with a shield last time. It didn't work. There's no shield on side this time. But what is going to be the plan?
Deploying drone.
Take it slow apparently to start with. Don't want to find themselves losing out in silly ways like they did last time, as you say. Just put it together piece by piece. And again, playing around the Capitale. I say it pretty much every time I see a Capitale. Probably one of my favorite operators in the game. You can see why. Look at all the utility being brought along. The hard breach gadget, 3-speed, pretty decent gun, loads of smoke, loads of fire. Like there's so much to love about the operator, and I love it when teams really make effective use of him. Here, of course, when they start dumping in that utility, it's going to be a very different conversation because it's going to be a lot then on Falcons to be able to respond to it. They've only got one C4 to play behind, so not an awful lot they can do to actually stop a plant going down once the smoke start coming out. That said, Deadshot has used one of them, so keep an eye on that second one. I expect it to get held on to when they start thinking about an execute, but even if he doesn't, of course, Capitale instead has already got all those smokes he can play behind.
Brede just managing to catch that Rotero drone there, prevent any more denial of utility. And again, Brede locked in that position inside of Janitor, hasn't been affected yet. We see some of that Capitale utility going out, and droning will continue. Just ensuring that users isn't, Solotov in this case, actually isn't playing in that position, but doesn't really force him out too much as he manages to get a kill onto Deadshot. Here comes a push. Niko nearly missing his shots, but they have dealt with Janitor. It's a direct trade there. Brede goes down. This is winnable for Genji.
Starting to cook at this point, but no, the Capitale's gone. Solitov's found his man into a 2 versus 2. Looks for shots back, but found nothing, and like that, they started to crumble away. Ace has already gone nuts so far in this round. 7-2 across the game, but look at Solotov, 8-3 himself. Both looking pretty lethal, and Solotov wins out. It was a close one. The Falcons kept themselves in the round right up until the end.
Yeah, really nice stuff there. 2 versus 3. Solotov and users proving why they're 2 of the best in the world. Great duo at the end there. No panic from them. Just waited for the opportunities to present themselves and took them when they did. It was a shame for Genji. They got Janitor dealt with. Nako managed to go in and get a double, including Brede. Lost his life along the way, but you don't mind that if you clear out that power position. And the Asami as well. It was 2 huge kills from him, and just really unfortunate that they weren't able to get the job done from there. There was an opportunity, but I feel like Genji maybe could have just used their time. There was 40 seconds left on the clock at the end of the round there. They were in a 3v2. I think maybe just take your foot off the gas a little bit. Don't be, you know, straying across Janitor door and losing a fight to users that you don't even see coming. Use that time a little bit. They could take 20, 25 seconds. What drones have we got? What intel have we got? Where are they playing? And build from there. They were just a little bit rushed at the end.
Absolutely. Still keeping the contest pretty tight, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Genji walk away this round, win, and dragging things even. If nothing else, it feels... What does they deserve? I think it does. Like, I think if Falcons came away from this 4-2, I'd be saying Genji would feel a little bit hard done by. They've attacked the basement incredibly well, and of course won that both times we've seen ourselves going down there. These other sides have been obviously not quite so on their side, but they've been close in a couple of those rounds, so they are keeping themselves really, really competitive. I'd like to see them get 3-3 here, because again, it feels somewhat deserved. But each round is itself in isolation. Doesn't matter what happened in the fight before. It's about this one. If they can get the business done here and now. I think all eyes naturally going towards Ace and what he's going to do with the shotgun on side. Sometimes it's not about executing towards the site. It's just about rapid entry into the building. Even has a shotgun in hand, and he's very rapidly into the building, Tim. But he's also very rapidly dead, as is Deadshot. 2 of them falling by the wayside. It's the Blackbeard that's gone as well. Falcons probably now just win this round by default unless they really throw this one away.
Yeah, I feel like you've got to have better intel there. There's nothing wrong with the Amaru going in. That's what the gadget's there for. Take ground quickly, maybe even get an opportunity at a gunfight, but there was absolutely no opportunity there for Issa to do anything at all. Absolutely taken down as soon as his feet hit the ground. So a tough one for Genji to build from now. 3 versus 5. Diffuser down on the ground. They can collect that. That's not a massive problem. They do have the upstairs now, but it's because Falcons have given it them. They know that they've done their job. They've won their 2 gunfights. They're full health. They now drop back and just hold on to site. They can watch the hatches, catch people out as they try to move and try to get aggressive as the round ticks on. It should be fairly straightforward for Falcons to close this out.
Should. Team of their caliber, absolutely. However, we've seen teams bottle some very spectacular leads and positions they've been in. Of course, we saw an awful lot back on the last series. So, don't count it as a done deal just yet. Genji still with quite a bit of time to work with here. Just under half the round to play out. Now starting to angle themselves out, being mindful that indeed there are many players from Falcons here just waiting for you to expose the wrong angle ever so slightly, and they'll very happily take your head off. Soundcue's going to give away some information at the same time. So far digging deep, but no, Brede finally caught in the cross. They've been hunting him down for a good 30 seconds or so, and finally they get their prize.
Yeah, 3 versus 4. I don't think it's going to be a big enough prize is the problem. There's 45 seconds left on the clock. They've used so much of that time and haven't got any control over sight. However, you've already commented he's hit a few nice shots. He's going to hit another one and add it to the list. Absolutely beautiful stuff. Leakyfact did not see that coming. Plant is going down here, and Genji, they might just be able to rescue something out of this, but no, a kill comes in. Can they stick it? Yes, but the post plant is going to be tough.
They have no idea as well where the Scott has got to have used this, but he's floating around here now, locked into a bit of a gunfight. And Skies again, man. What is it with this guy and hitting bangers today? A triple kill in the round he finds himself. Genji look like they might recover what was a 3 versus 5, Tim, and get us back to winning ways. Sure enough, they do. What a massive round to win, being 2 men down, still managing to come away with a 3-3 half.
That's a great turnaround. I said it during the round. You know, 5 versus 3. Falcons have retired back to site. There's no real reason that they should be losing that round. And yeah, Genji got into a position, and the thing that particularly impressed me the most is they got into a position to plant. They managed to get enough control to be able to put that diffuser down on the ground. Skies hit some brilliant shots throughout that round as well, it's fair to say. Skies keeping his team in it when it was tough going, and they go in 3-3 at the half. They're going to be more than happy with that heading onto the defense.
Absolutely. Now, again, it's about how well they can now do on the defensive side, because, you know, you can sing their praises all day. They've played really well here. 2 halves to a game of Siege. You've also got to be excellent on the defensive side here. Falcons are no slouches when it comes to attacking. Again, our top 4 teams have been pretty significantly delivering on a lot of the key numbers that they need to. In fact, to pull it up here and see where they currently stand, they are our 3rd best team with a 55% attacking win rate. On the defensive side of things, Genji, they sit down at 52%. So you have got these 2 forces about to come together. You would favor Falcons based on historic numbers, but playoffs is always a different beast. We always say this, so maybe we're going to see those odds turned upside down.
Got the Aruni on site. We don't see too much Aruni these days. Guys has got the EMR as well. So with the shots he's hitting, definitely one to watch through this round. I imagine we'll see those laser gates on top of the hatches. We'll see as it goes on, but it's definitely a common one. Just there you go. So it just burns utility effectively. If you want to be able to breach those hatches, you've got to do something to clear out the laser gate first, whether that's take a bit of, you know, loss of a drone or a flash, or you've got to get something into it to just disable it so that you can get your utility onto the hatch to open it. So just deciding to give a little bit of a problem to solve before Falcons even get to the site.
Absolutely. No, one of the remarks on, of course, is no Dokkaebi on side. Now, you know me, Tim, and this team in particular, I love their Dokkaebi Deimos pairing. When they get to play it, they are so unstoppable as a team, because the moves they make off the back of a Dokkaebi call is, one, somewhat of a crutch. You see them rely on it an awful lot, but when they do it, they also do it with absolute beauty. It looks fantastic to watch them play it out. With only the Deimos on side here, you'll still take that. Shoko getting one of his favorite operators, of course, no problem at all there. But I do love when we see those 2 things come together, especially when there are aromas or aggressive pieces around the map. For this site, maybe you don't need it so much. It's more about getting yourself ready to set up for an execute as well. You've got the Capitao on side, for example. But just one of those, I'd really love to see that pairing come out during this half, and it really helps them deal effectively with roamers, or actually execute onto a site itself when no one can do anything about it.
Drones are going in for fun here at the minute. Azox has taken a couple out, and they knew that he was inside of Archive's Tellers, but now seeing him inside of open area is going to allow Falcons to push forward and get a bit aggressive and take that ground, which is exactly what they do. They are not waiting around here, but are they aware particularly of Azox wandering up those main marble stairs. If he can get up above them, this could be a real problem because of the double hard breach ban. They're not going to be able to breach the wall that you would look down from vending and down that corridor. You wouldn't normally necessarily open that wall on this clearance. You'd be looking more at top floor and on cafeteria and open site to open that wall up and get advantage from it. But again, the fact that it will be closed more than likely, it just provides Azox that little bit of safety to go for the flank.
They have baited out a couple of smokes from Acer as well off towards blue stairs, so there's only one now left for the actual site execute itself. And I was about to say, Skies now surely has to drop. Gave himself away, got out of danger. Speaking of danger, Falcons are starting to walk into it, Tim. We're down to this last 45 seconds, and yeah, there's only a smoke and a single C4 to play behind, but as we saw, Genji found a way around it. There is every world in which Falcons can do so. But that chance goes down as every second passes here. So we've got to start looking at the execute. One more set of Grim Bees to go. All that Capital utility. A couple of smokes. Lots to play with, but they've got to pull the trigger soon.
The big question here is Azox. I'm not sure they're aware of him. He's up on top floor. He's in stock. And he's just waiting for his moment to get onto that flank and to cause a nuisance of himself. He's going to have to go now. He's left his... And this is always the risk of trying to hide yourself away. He's left his team short-handed. And a couple of kills do come in for Falcons. But here he comes. Azox, big kill on main stairs. Acer manages to get one, and Falcons have taken their eye off the ball, Des. It's 3v1 in the blink of an eye. Shaiko on the Deimos manages to find one. He's got a track on another. Surely he gets the kill here, but time is going to be the deciding factor. It's a trade as well, and Genji get their first successful defense, and Falcons punished for allowing Azox to slip the net. He took a number of drones out. They knew he was in Archives Tellers. They knew he was in open area. They had no idea that he'd headed on up to stock.
What I loved was he was actually the key for that whole defense to unlock itself and for them to spring into action. As soon as he gets on towards Leakyfac on main stairs, there's an immediate swing on towards the elevator player, and there's an aggressive step out into server at the same time. Now, while they lose out on that side of things, Shaiko is the one who obviously gets the cleanup afterwards, doesn't manage to get any more closing kills to convert the round over. He did make a little bit of space, but it was kind of it's totally fine if you guys want to execute on towards site here, because we're going to clean up everything else around the map, or your backstab attempts. It doesn't matter to us. We're just going to sweep up and clean house. It was really, really well played by Genji. Very, very, springing a trap on towards the other side as well. Love seeing it. The Falcons are the ones who've now got caught with the ideas, Tim. Dare I say that, to a level maybe underestimating Genji here.
Whether it's underestimation or not, the top and bottom of it is they are being punished by a team who are well prepared for them. You know, we speak about Falcons, how good they are on Bank, how they had a 3-year win streak on Bank that was only recently ended. It looks like they might not be starting a new one anytime soon. Genji 4-3 up. This is now the big challenge. Genji have had their basement defense. They've got it won, and I'm not going to say it was touch and go, but it was winnable for Falcons. They were 5 versus 3. Genji, let's not forget that as well, by the way. 2 rounds now that they've won 3 versus 5. If they don't do that, it's what, 5-2? Big difference, big difference. So Falcons have got questions to answer in that sense as well. But Genji now have to win that second and third choice site. It's going to be open area that they go for first.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Sorry, means still got a bit of vertical control to work through. It's why we've got the ram coming on side from Solotov here. Otherwise, not so much in terms of drastic changes from what we might expect coming out of this side. And Breedo's on shield duty. He just goes across on towards the hard breach. You might look at the 0 and go, huh? That's a bit of a weird one, and it sure is. So I remember a good long while ago, our good friend Leon Geard said to me, this actually is a map where he's actually really, really strong, really powerful, worth bringing along in most lineups. And I think because there's so many spots that you can hide those cameras in, he is just ridiculously flexible and very, very powerful. However, in being focused on their own camera, look what Mr. Observer has showed us. We've realized that there is a black eye camera ready and waiting to see everything that happens from this point forward.
Yeah, it's a clever one. It's going to not only see all of those SAM cams that are fired out into main lobby, but it's also, of course, going to be providing that intel. Nitro goes out, going to be unsuccessful as the top floor push continues from Falcons. Leakyfac now heading up main lobby stairs, joining the player on Banana as well. But Genji are fully aware of this. They've seen it all on the black eye cam. They know what is going on, and it's an easy pickup. They knew that they just had to wait. Macko opened his arms, and Leakyfac ran on into them.
That's happened a few times this game now, across both sides, of course, where Leakyfac has just been caught off completely unawares. And it's very unlike him. Obviously, as the IGL, and many by default assume McKay IGL might not be the best gunner. No, Leakyfac was one of the best players across the last couple of years, but look at this sideswipe Naquo's found here. That's made life really uncomfortable for Brede. He can't plant until they've managed to get rid of Naquo. But again, Leakyfac, we've really got to see a bit more of him, unfortunately, Tim. 2 quick kills come on through. The last 2 players are coming from bottom square. 1 towards Naquo, and Ace has got to do it all against 3. One of them being a shield, and Usus is simply not going to let that happen. Falcons still keeping pace here, 4 apiece.
Yeah, better from Falcons there. It was, again, a little bit of an easy opener that they gave to Genji, but they recovered well. And it's like I said, with Leakyfac being, you know, the first or an early death in a round, it really isn't always the end of the world. He's a great gunner, he's a great player, but having your IGL able to focus on everything around them is never a bad thing either. So Falcons, they managed to get that one done, and as I said, the big challenge for Genji is going to be that second and third choice site. They have taken the double hard breach ban. They couldn't get open area done. I think top floor might be a better site for them because they're going to have, or should have, a lot of that freedom now. I think they've been waiting, you know, to be able to get up there with no Hibana, no Ace. They can play in and around stock corridor. Nothing can really disrupt that. So this is going to be a tougher round for Falcons to get the win on.
Unless. We saw a few teams make some really interesting adaptations to this site overall because, you know, as you see, like the hard breach is being banned away. Speaking about that white corridor is fully usable by defenders, it's not easy to threaten them on there. However, we've seen some, I want to say it was it PSG Talon? No, maybe it was PRX. It was definitely one of the Korean teams. When they had like 4 or 5 players all on Windows, still managed to pull off a beautiful execute onto the site with these exact same bans. And it was just like, there are ways that it can be done. You have to get a little bit creative, but there are certainly ways that you can pull this off entirely from window play. But looking at the other side, Tim, they really aren't trying to make it hard. They've got an answer to the Capital with things like the Warden. But the Yokai's on side, occasionally a little bit of panic. They've got the Clash to play behind it. Of course, didn't have to worry about backup reload. Lots still the Falcons are going to work their way through, so it's certainly not as simple as get everyone on the windows and let's make the play. There's a lot more that needs to be done to make this possible.
I always like the mirror for this site, if available. Genji opting not to bring the mirror along, just relying instead on Skies, who has been very reliable throughout this game, on the Warden inside of Janitor. But a Warden behind a mirror window in Janitor just doubles the power up, but we will see basically that position is all about denying any sort of plant going down inside a CEO, which is most commonly where we would see the plants happen on this side. But a lot of droning going on from Falcons at the minute, getting a good look around site, a good idea of who is where. But again, it is going to come down to 2 things. First and foremost, Skies in Janitor on the Warden. They've got to deal with it. They've got to have an answer. Second problem is that Clash in stock corridor. No surprise to see them playing there because, as I've said, without that ranged hard breach ban, it's going to be very difficult to move this player out of that position. And guess who that supports? It supports Skies inside of Janitor.
Yeah, most thing really get away with here, I think, is more trying to control the Clash, right? Making use of the firebolts, for example. We've only got 1 left, or using nades to force them away. Of course, probably thankful at this point that it doesn't do damage, but enough that it can still feed information across. It could be a bit of a threat. As I say that, a nade comes on through, and I think that was fire burning underneath, and it wasn't fire. I know what it was, but he was slowly getting chipped down either way. Now he's down on his backside, 2 versus 3, and Aita gets the reverse. Oh my God. Him and Skies today have been absolutely magic. Leakyfac maybe awakening in this round, though. A 2 versus 1. Aita gets far. I thought he only got in there for a second, but no, it's Shaiko on the swing. And Falcons get another one on the board. They really do not want to let Genji into this game.
No, and this is where I thought the problems might come for them. Like I said, great defense down in the basement, but you've got to be able to do it all over the map, because if this tracks, as we've seen over those last 3 rounds, then Genji go back to basement now. They get it won. It goes 5-5. Falcons then win top floor open area, and they win 7-5 and take the map and move on. So Genji have got to improve on those 2 defenses that we've just seen. I'm not sure exactly how Skies ended up dying inside of Janitor, but with the Clash behind them as well, I think there was a bit of work from below which didn't make it easy for them. We saw the Grimbees going in there. Falcons definitely had a plan to clear that position, and when they did, it allowed Leakyfac to get inside of sight, and and that's where we saw the challengers coming through. Acer actually picked up a beautiful kill onto him, but still, it pushed people out of position, and Genji ultimately lose the round from there. So a good back-to-back bit of scoring coming in from Falcons there, getting themselves 2 rounds on the board, and they currently sit with a little bit of an advantage.
It's a little bit of one for sure. I mean, eyes already falling towards the latest pickups of this team. And it sounds weird saying latest pickups. It's not like they've joined super recently. It's been a couple of years now, but Solotov and News is the ones really flying through the game. 12-6, 8-5, both not lost an entry duel so far. Really high cost. Schalke having one of those quiet days. One of those quiet days. Sorry, and we interesting combination of days and games. There is dames. Interesting. But first, speaking about this in the pre-game a little bit, when we had the graph up on screen showing what has the EPS variety been for each player on this side throughout the stage. And Schalke have been the one that sort of had a few high moments, and you could see him being the kind of Schalke level performance that we're used to. But then towards the end of the stage started to drop off, had a pretty weak start to the stage as well. Today, at least, is one of those days where, although he's getting a few numbers on the board, his overall contribution hasn't been quite as strong as what some others on the team have been, but it's getting them results still. They're up 5-4. All eyes now go to Genji after that timeout to try and fight this one back in.
Again, it's going to be down to as much control of the upper floors as they can hold for as long as possible, burn away as much time as they can, and force Falcons into those late executes. They've got the tubber out in the hands of Macko, so those auto canisters will freeze out any breaching attempts on the hatches. That's going to be the play this time, rather than bringing the Aruni along. So I like to see that Genji have switched things up a little bit. They're not doing everything the same as they did last time just because they won it. They're going to mix it up, and what they're going to have to deal with, first and foremost, I think it's going to be that shield of users.
Normally quite a bit of a Blackbeard player, to be fair, but I think he'll take a blitz as well. Just give him a shield. I'm sure he can work a bit of magic on it regardless. A good rotation of who's playing what. Of course, had Leaker back on the Capital here. It was used earlier on. We're changing around quite a bit as we go, based on what the main needs are of the team. Macko taking a couple of shots. Skies, the Chanka's gone down already so early on. We'll get himself picked back up here, I believe, in just a second, but not a great start for a Chanka to be down this early on around him.
No, certainly not ideal. He managed to drop down the elevator hatch, so he does get collected back up onto 20 HP. He just needs to get himself inside of lockers now, realistically, and just, you know, he is the denial. We've got the smokes as well on the side of Acer, but yeah, they definitely don't want to be losing that because Acer's playing his life on blue stairs, and he's unlikely to get away from here alive. Very nearly loses his head immediately there. We see him actually drop back down. He's not going to give up blue stairs, though. They don't want to give server away. They've got Tubrau in there. It is all stacked towards keeping hold of server.
You saw like the massive exodus of a lot of Genji players over towards that side of the map as well after the initial like early engagement, where they've also taken a lot of shots along the way. Have now raced to take control of blue stairs, do not want to give anything over, and just like we saw before, they will burn a couple of those smoke canisters early on just to try and waste time. Second one coming out now. Previously he held on to the third and saved it for the sites itself. They only had the one C4 to play behind, now there's two, and they've got the Chanka. There's a lot they can work with, and Necro's going to start things off. Chaiko on the Deimos, taken out.
That's absolutely disgusting from Macko. Beautiful shot up the hatch on the reverse. Leakerfact does now get the job done, and we see that utility side come out. Losing the Deimos isn't the end of the world for Falcons here. Not essential to be able to get that plant down. Users moves down, starts bullying those blue stairs. Acer's had to drop away. They're going to keep hold of at least another gun inside of sight, but there's no toxic babes that can deny this plant. It's all going down to Skies on the Tachanka.
Now he's trying to do all he can to burn at range and keep them at bay. It's the right sort of idea, but a bit of an unconventional spot being held here. Obviously, normally it's inside the site, you'd sit. Not good to lose another, tries to go for the cross, and here we go yet again, Tim. There is a player upstairs wreaking absolute havoc, and what an angle. Deadshot nearly found it onto his man downstairs. Didn't manage to get the kill. That means on site for a second, though. It's a 2v1 with 10 seconds still to play. Uses finds one. They need to be planting right now, but where is Deadshot gonna go? And is the cover there ready and waiting? Trying to find his way in. Cover nearby, not quite just yet. In fact, yes it is, just across the far side, but no! Diffuser is down, shield is up, finds one for himself, and has got to win the 1 versus 1. Uses got basically no HP to his name. It's the right idea, but no! Uses wins out yet again. A 2K a couple of rounds ago to close, and here it's a post-plant 1v1 that he comes away the victor. Falcons up 6-4.
It was a good round from Falcons in terms of, I think, the adaptation, the ability to get that diffuser down in difficult circumstances, but I am going to be a little bit critical of them and say, how can you let Deadshot up onto the top floor causing problems again? It was Azox last time, it was Deadshot this time. It's the exact same playbook. Get yourself up onto top floor, hide away, get off the drones, they don't know you're there, and then come back in and make a nuisance of yourself. Deadshot, you know, wasn't the one necessarily getting the kills. We saw the angles that he was bringing in, but what he was causing problems. It's like having a wasp in the room. You don't know exactly what they're going to do, where they're coming from, and he was very, very close to winning that 1v1 at the end as well. That is the moment for me where he looks over the top of the bomb chassis. Users, fortunately for Falcons, has kept himself tucked right back in. But if he doesn't, and Deadshot gets the spot over the top of the bomb chassis and then hits the second, forget about it. Genji win the round. So it was a question mark for me for Falcons there. They've, you know, fooled me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. They need to be making sure that they're locking down those flanks better, especially the same ones.
They can lock down the flanks, but Genji have got a lock in, Tim. Last chance saloon now, otherwise map 1 goes against you. Yes, you do get to go into your map pick of continent next, but it's still a game where you started out so damn strong. Really can't stress it enough. Actually, they played really well this map. They've been unfortunate in a couple of rounds where there's been, you know, clutches coming out from the players of Falcons. Not to say that we haven't seen Genji win their own. Round 7 was a 1v1 win from Azox, for example. But by and large, Falcons have had that bottle, that composure when it comes down to those difficult situations where Genji have largely managed to fall away. Got to get it right here.
Yeah, they've just not been able to set the opportunities. You know, let's not forget there's been 2 rounds for Falcons where they've been 3v5 Genji, and they've been able to come through and win it. And so Falcons, you know, have made mistakes. Genji have punished them on a few of them, not all of them, and maybe that's the difference here. But, you know, it's tough going against a team like Falcons. If they're going to come out of a game where they've given you know, 3v5s and you've still gone on and won them, and where they are letting the same flanks slip through the net twice on the same site, and they're still going to be 6-4 up, it just speaks to their quality, really, and how difficult they are to take rounds from.
I dare him to try and get past this.
Well, as difficult as it might be, Tim, it's still a task that needs to be done by someone. May as well be Genji here in round 11. Easy kill. Oh. Hey? What? Never mind. I didn't think for a second I was like, hang on, he's definitely shot the head. And then Ace steps forward and drops the shield, and now he's dead. And he's been such a big player for them throughout this game that suddenly you start to feel a bit concerned. But the Dokkaebi is gone, Tim. Equally a massive catch. That second call rings out. No longer available to the team. 4 versus 4.
Yeah, as you say, Ace are on 12 and 9 so far. Has been going really well. Can Genji get this one done without him? They need 2 rounds back-to-back to keep themselves in it. Drone goes in. They're going to spot out. They could have made a good guess that somebody would have been playing in that position just inside double door anyway. But Aquo, in his little dance around the door, is going to take a little bit of damage as well. So now finds himself at about 60 HP and needing to be careful, not wanting to take on any head-to-head gunfights with Falcons, who are all full health at the minute, and really posturing here to get aggressive towards site. Deadshot taking damage as well.
Just probing and asking questions, aren't they? Trying to figure out where these last couple of players are. Pressure coming on through. Now that he's dropped away, they can hit sight and largely ignore him. One more in front of his face as well. The bulletproof at least getting a little bit of help on that side, but he gets one more. Skies in towards one. He's been going pretty big himself this game, but is it enough to hold on? I fear not. Azox with it all to do another 1 versus 1, and it's against Shaiko, who's got a track. Calls it out, but Shaiko has to plant here, Tim. He might just get baited out in time. This could be a pretty miserable outcome. Azox pushing his way back up towards Beepers. Here we go, the set through comes on through, and Shaiko pulls off! Finds the 1v1, because of course he does! It's goddamn Shaiko! They take map 1!
Shaiko doing Shaiko things, winning what seemed to be almost unwinnable at that point. It was difficult for the side of Genji there. I think they didn't know exactly how long he'd been planting. You kind of wanting the clock to run out, because as soon as he comes off, but he had more time available than that, so they had to make the challenge. You don't want to end up in that 1v1 with him, but Falcons, they turn over a good run.
Yeah, close but no cigar, unfortunately, for the side of Genji. Of course, they can still bounce back. It is a best of 3, but it's looking like a tall order when Falcons are playing like they are today. We'll go to a break, and when we come back, Desk, break it down for you.
C4 ready! C4!
And that is a 7-4 for Falcons on this first map here in the series. It didn't go without a bit of a fight. I guess we can say Genji really put up a fight to them on this first map.
Listen, I'm proud of them.
Okay.
I'm proud. It's not a 7-1. We see Genji stepping up. We see actual fight. We see a team kill. But we also see some great stuff.
Okay.
What do we see? We see Sky's carrying the team. We see Asta stepping up. Despite being negative the whole season, he steps up again. Look at this. It was a 7-4 victory.
Yes.
But on the back of, once again, individual prowess. On the back of that crazy 1v1 clutch from Shaiko at the end. So overall, I'm kind of proud of Genji. I'm a little bit scared about Falcons. Yes, they play well, but they're not playing at the top level. Look how many clutches they won. The blitz here, the Shaiko kill at the end round. Multiple clutches were determining, 3 clutches actually on the side of Falcons, determining the 7-4 here.
Yeah, let's just contextualize this, because we've started talking about the highlights about how happy we are and how proud we are of Genji. On another day, without those clutches, they're actually in overtime maybe winning this map, which is supposed to be the best map by far for Team Falcons. And they needed big clutch, big individual plays. It was uncharacteristic, I would say. They lost 5 versus 3 with no walls open on the open area defense. Shouldn't ever happen. They lost, well, they didn't lose actually. They managed to win it out, one of the basements, but both basement attacks that they had, they allowed a flank up the main stairs.
Yeah, multiple.
Which should never happen. And that starts in a rank stack. Every pro team, you should never be allowing that when you're attacking, doing a default server plant, allow a flank up the main stairs. And these are the things where we hold Falcons in the regard of a FaZe clan, of a Dark Zero, of a Furia, of a W7M. None of those teams would let it happen. Falcons are currently letting it happen, but they're escaping because all of their players are so good, particularly in regards to the late round and the clutches.
Yeah.
And let's focus back on one of these examples. Let's take a look at round 6. Just to highlight and basically focus on what the mistakes were here. Look at Bride moving too much here.
5 versus 3, by
5 versus 3, he gives his life away for no reason. Here, Lekefak, why are you picking? Why are you picking? And then they let themselves plant. And so, again, they're in a 3v2. Again, a 1v1 here taken from Solotov.
Yep.
So, basically, these guys get a triple kill here. Amazing from him, yes, big moment. But why is he getting a triple kill? Because Falcons is moving too much in position where they should not move. And we expect from this player to never make these kind of mistakes. And this is why it's getting a little bit closer.
That first kill, particularly on Bride. Bride should be tucked up in the corner on the reinforcement near the door. If somebody walks in the door, there's a refrag from Printer from inside the site. If somebody walks in the breach or into the office on him, there's a refrag onto that from where the hatch is. That was non-existent. He gave them a 1 and a 1 and a 1. Top teams don't do that.
Don't give up on your crossfires.
Now, is this a case of testing the waters against a team that you beat 7-1 before? Or is this a case of like, oh, there might actually be an opportunity for Genji?
I think we're actually seeing the symptoms of Falcons.
Yeah,
I think
stress.
I think there's still an underlying issue that needs to be worked on, even though they're winning. And I appreciate we hold them to the highest regard. I appreciate this is really nitpicky, but we do hold them to a very high regard.
Genji causes stress. The stress highlights problems and cracks through Falcons. And this is why we're being a little bit critical, because we expect
they did win. Congratulations.
They won. We expect them to be perfect, and that's the reason why we're getting a little bit hard on them.
Okay, well, we have to see on the second map, obviously, whether there is that real chance for Genji to bounce things back. It is obviously going to be their map pick. We're seeing Consta on the screens behind us. After a break, we'll be back with the second map of the series.
Easy, easy, teammate.
Oh, Jesus. Nice. All right, listen. There's a few guys left. I'm going to entry. You're with me. I need you to stay on cams and support us if we need.
Got it.
All right, with me. Clear. 3, 2, 1. Cover me. One on the right. Oh, shit. No, call! Get off your cams. We need help. Fucking Alamo. Take the case. Go on without me.
Shut the fuck up, Jack.
What? Is he okay?
I've been worse.
Welcome back for the Europe Mini League playoffs. My name is Anne and I'm joined by Alfama and Fresher. We're just trying to, I don't know, have a good time together or people fight each other, I guess? Or
We have this thing. We have this thing
where...
As the show is going up, we try and tap each other before the camera goes onto us. And
yeah.
Work it.
And try not to get caught.
I missed the timing there.
That's fine.
Honestly, like the chat message that I saw earlier today, Anne and her two dog sons. That's basically the show, and it should be renamed like this, to be honest.
Yep.
But
yeah, instead of the Fortress on interview, it's Anne and the Dork.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, the good thing is that Anne and the Dorks are going to set you up for the second map of the series, because we do indeed go to Genji's map pick. This is going to be Consulate, and I think we're seeing some Falcons players right now, obviously, because the main thing that we talked about before this break was that, yes, Falcons want that map, but still we need to see more from them, and I think on your opponent's map pick, that's an ideal situation to do that.
I think we see a lot of the good things. If you look at their attacks, mostly those split takes on Bank were stellar. They were really good, most of the time good executes. But we see a critical loss in the fundamentals, in the not moving too much, in the not giving away your man advantage. Like the kind of stuff that should be basics for these pro players, especially the levels that they are playing at. So I think what I'm expecting to see from them, improve at least, is Improve on those fundamentals. Go back to your core strat, especially on controlling. And starting in defense.
Yeah. I'm glad that you checked.
I had to double check there.
Defense, arguably for a team that has such talent, should be better, because in defense you kind of hold your powerful positions with the utility and teams have to attack into you. But when you're giving away such freebies, it's not. And I think we saw that on Bank. Like, you know, Falcons arguably could have closed at least 2 more Bank defenses. And again, you know, we are being hypercritical on them because we want to see them operate at a high level. And I think that extends to the fact that we think they're our best shot in Stashley at getting over the line for a European and MENA region. In terms of Genji, I think just a reset is needed. Yes, they lost their opponent's map pick. They were always expected to lose that. This is the map that's theirs.
Yeah, well, the good thing is that we are still seeing some smiles on the faces of Genji, getting ready for the second matchup. They know what is up for them. They know they have to find that bounce back, but they might do that on their own map pick, Consulate.
Well, you'd hope so, and at this point, because it has been a torrid affair so far. Some high points for them, most definitely in that last map, Tim. You know, they've shown promise, but they're just falling short of greatness.
Yeah, you look at it and you think, can they come here and take a map off Falcons? I think they can do. I think they've definitely got it in the locker. They've turned up and they've had a good start to things. The problem is the message, like I said, that Falcons sent in that first map, and that is, you know what? We can play in perfect siege. We can let you flank up the main stairs. We can let you win a couple of 3v5s. Not suggesting they were letting them do it, but that can happen, and we're still going to come out and win 7-4. And that's got to be tough to take if you're Genji, because you kind of feel like every time a mistake happens and you don't punish it, you know you're getting nothing out of Falcons. But even when you do punish it, maybe you're still getting nothing. Tough one for Genji to take. And if we look at Consulate, Falcons played it against Fnatic recently, won it comfortably 7-2. I know Genji had a win on against Wild as well, but you know, it certainly shows that Falcons are no slouches here. We know they've got a broad map pool, and best of threes is where teams like the Falcons start to shine, really.
Yeah, it's what I want to say about Falcon is, as you and I experienced many times last year, they are great in the run-up to a grand final. And then everything else is where it starts to become quite difficult. Yeah. That point onwards. Being that close to greatness so many times over, of course, this isn't quite a spot to play at a final. Of course, it's that qualification to EWC that is on the line, the one thing they've really got their eyes on, as does everyone playing here in the playoffs. Of course, we'll see if we can make it there, but for them, their eyes are very firmly on a much deeper run in the competition, whereas Genji, you know, it's got to be one day, one game at a time. And by the looks of it, Tim, in this round, Falcons, they've hit away at Clash. Leak not being seen out by a drone, I don't think. I say that as he's now out about and moving, so maybe he has been seen and just thought, all right, well, I may as well carry on my setup now. It's all good. Okay, look at the lineup. I don't think they have, you know, looking at the lineup, I don't think they have noticed it's a Clash.
No, I'm not so sure. They've got nothing really directly to deal with it.
8 smokes, Tim.
Okay.
They're cooking.
There's a plan.
With a Raura, a Ying, there's a plan. I can confirm there is indeed a plan.
Let's see how well the plan plays out. They need to get themselves into the correct positions to begin with. Immediately going to be breaching meeting wall, so that will give access straight into the closet. Nobody playing aggressively in there from Falcons, but they will have definitely heard the exothermic go off. Get onto the old connector window as well. Just try to hold an angle from there. Clash is going to go and have a look here, so they know what's going on. And here they go.
Well, let's see if they get away with it. There's Matt getting the kills, most importantly, and sure enough, there's the first one. Solotov isolated. Shaiko getting one back. Reading with the same on the spray through the flash from through the shallow wall, and Usus gets 1-2. This looks like it's over before it has even begun. Even Leaky Pat's got one for himself to see out his troubles, and Shaiko with the close. It was a nice attempt. It was a good idea. There was one part that worked, and the rest of it was absolute calamity.
An attempt was made. You know, you've just got to commit to those things. If you're going for it, once the utility goes in, once the Candelas, the smokes are in there, the blitz is running, you just have to commit. But Falcons were ready for it, as you say. You know, they were locked in. They had their angles. They had the positions. And I think it was something they said on the desk coming into this. It's difficult to play against a team like Falcons when they start on the defense, because that is going to be the stronger half for them. A team so good, playing in their power positions, behind the utility they want, with a Clash. They've got everything they need to win the round no matter what you throw at them, and Falcons have just shown that then. Good first round from them. Not caught on the back foot, ready for what's going to come. I think given that it's not, you know, their map choice and it's not one that they necessarily favour too much, Falcons, I think a 4-2 on defence is, I won't say essential for them, but I think they'll definitely be looking 4-2 minimum. That's a great start for them.
All right. Let's see if Genji can really get this one cooking. Not forgetting it is their map pick. They're the ones who need to get the majority of rounds, especially at the start here, really to get things moving. And I'll wait for us to load in. I was worried for a second they'd lost 5 drones already, but I think it was like a little UI bug there in the prep phase. Only down 2 drones, so not the end of the world just yet.
No, not at all. Macko is going to be on side on the Deimos. Had a great game last map, so keep an eye on him because, of course, there are plenty of opportunities here on Bank to make use of those scans, especially when you're in basement. Get him established in piano, an exhibition, let him get those tracks, play through the soft floor, get a drone in there in conjunction with him so he's not scanning a player that's at pipes, for instance, that he can't really do much about. Get him the knowledge. Who do I need to subtract? Who am I going to get the opportunity on?
Right, try and move a little bit quickly to begin with here, but of course jump straight into a goo mine from which he's taking about 20 points of damage there, Azox as well. Not the best on a shield operator, of course. Every point of HP counts for something with spraying at your feet or tossing impact nades at you, for example. There's that to be aware of. 2 C4s already used as well. Here's now they're going to start their push on forward through the smoke. Try and get themselves some control here of this ground floor before they start looking towards the basement. But there are still 2 players they need to pinch out on. And they're dropping down through the hatches at this point, though, and getting themselves away.
Yeah, it's good time that's been wasted, though. A minute 30 now gone off the clock. You know, a couple of challenges there. Damage onto Skies, damage onto Azox, those 2 shield operators. Deimos scans coming in. If you remember, I said, you know, about getting these Deimos scans onto players that you can do something about, that are in a position that you can challenge from above. They've done one onto Shaiko when he was running down yellow stairs. They've now tracked out Leakypack when he was back towards archives and had solid floors above him as well. And they've not really been able, I don't think, to gain too much direct advantage from those scans, as in being able to challenge, being able to get a kill. It has forced them back from the mid floor and gained them ground, but hasn't netted them any damage.
No, not just yet. But again, it's always asking the question, right? It's keeping Genji on edge that there could be someone about to push up on the flanks, for example, that could try and do a bit of damage for you. There's another track coming on towards Shaiko here as well. Respect or fear? I'll let you decide. But it's enough for now that for Falcons, they have dug back in. They've largely conceded control of everything, and they're waiting to see what the play is going to be from Genji. No C4s, no impacts, no smokes, nothing to stop this Monty just marching on forward. And that is my main worry, because now he's in a spot to get the plant down. They've got a challenge, and sure enough, they challenge in reverse. It's a trade between the 2. Azok's also going down to 4 versus 3, and they're up on top of the Monty. Hello? What the hell is going on? They had no idea about the push on towards the Monty there, and yet again, Genji have done something pretty good. They've pulled out a good plan, but the actual execution of it, especially towards the end of the round, is where they've fallen short. Surely, Macko doesn't hold on against all 4 here. Now they know where he is, and he can't even get a single kill. That is unfortunate. Falcons going to go 2-0 up.
Yeah, Falcons just waiting in numbers under the hatch. They knew it was the only place really that Macko could try to hold on from was above, so they knew that one of them would at least win out on the challenge, and it was a good round again from them. I like the try, I like the thought process from Genji. I love it when teams base their round about getting the diffuser down. You know, it's, I won't say forgotten about, but it's so often overlooked where teams will just get kind of wrapped up in these gunfights and trying to get everybody killed. And, you know, there are so many more ways to win it. Shaiko just couldn't get the pistol out quick enough, could he? You can see the you can see the pain that he's got Deadshot right in front of him, and he's just trying to switch quick enough to get the kill, but couldn't. But ultimately, it didn't matter as Falcons get the job done. They're going to head now to their 3rd choice site. It's going to be Piano, and this really is not the start that Genji wanted.
All right, still time for them to claw this one back then, Tim. It's still only a couple of rounds in. And I think the most important thing, again, from those 2 rounds is we've seen a great idea, middling execution, and an awful outcome is the way that I'll probably describe it best. And this is the thing against these big top 4 teams like Falcons. They will not let you get away with murder the way that you might be able to against lesser opposition, should we say. But Genji know that. They've definitely played against these guys a whole ton through scrims. They know that it's always going to be a tall ask to get anything away from them. Still not going to stop them from trying, though. Here we go with another round with that Monty lead the charge once again. Lots of vertical control being desired here with Macko getting across on towards that ram. And they are a little bit sick and tired of the antics of this Falcon side out on the roam. Got a gridlock on side for good measure as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling a similar sort of problem to one I pointed out for Macko as well. And it feels like it's if shields, then shields. Like, yes, they're available, so yes, we're going to bring them. And I get it. They're super powerful, of course. But I just don't feel like Genji or Macko tonight have got enough value out of those shields. You know, at the end of the day, you are bringing them at the cost of bringing other operators. And so you've got to be winning rounds on the back of them. And so far, Falcons have dealt with them, I won't say very easily, but at least reasonably in the last couple of rounds.
Both being brought out early on, so at least keep the Monty at bay for now. That's not going to mind too much. Of course, those smokes being taken away now means they aren't effective later on in the round. Really meaning the only denial we've got left on this Falcon side is 2 C4s. And I say only 2 C4s, like that's a very small, trivial matter. They are pretty significant. Of course, take out that Monty and one, as we'll see one come through. Takes off half his HP, in case you're wondering how much damage they do. Well, that's the answer. Behind the shield, it would have been a very different story. Uses going down, leaking back onto a trade, and Macko springs into action. Almost gets a second on top spiral, but for now, it's Solitaire trying to go aggressive. 2 players lined up, but could find neither. And surely, Genji get themselves on the board in this round, as they're into a 4 versus 2.
Yeah, it was a great play from Macko, just explosive to get forward and just start something going for his team. They've got more value out of that shield this time as well. Azok's able to bully Breeder, get that final kill. It's all up to Shaiko 1 versus 3, but look at Azok and Asa, both pretty low health here. We've already seen him do it 1v1 in unlikely circumstances. Can he do it again?
He can't do it. Oh, of course he can, though. It's Shaiko. The shield is the worry for him here, but it doesn't have to do an awful lot on this one. And of course, Goomines are always going to help. And of course, Tim, he forced us down to a 1 versus 1. Shield is down, just waiting for that pistol to appear. Steps away, hoping to bait out the Monty, but Azok simply is not biting. Last 30 seconds, and it's this dance with death here. Who comes out on top? Azok or Shaiko? But now, it's Shaiko that has got the pressure. Diffuser not being down only helps him here. And he's waiting for the shield to be dropped fully and the pistol to come out. But the thing is, Tim, we just know that he doesn't miss in these situations. Has a spray through the soft wall. Say a spray, it's a single shot. Finds a bit of damage, and Shaiko gives him absolutely nothing. A 1v3 clutch. You could just see it coming from the second it started.
It couldn't have gone any worse for Genji, in all honesty. You know, Shaiko, gets the first spray down. And from that point, the problem is, and I talk about this with Monty and with the shields, they are powerful when they have teammates with them. Every teammate that is lost along the way reduces the power of the Monty. I wouldn't say necessarily the same for Blackbeard and Blitz, because they're a little bit more self-sufficient, especially the Blackbeard. But for the Monty, everyone who dies around him removes a little bit of his power, because you can see that moment coming where in the 1v1 he's going to have to go to the pistol, he's going to have to drop the shield, and that's of course when he is his most exposed. So it's always tough when your teammates are dying around you and you're on the Monty. And Shaiko getting these two, just absolutely beautiful. And from that moment where he's in the 1v1, you think he's got the win here, because it's just so much to ask of Azox, especially on low health.
It's just, I couldn't even find myself sitting there going, oh, surely he can't do it. Because I was like, it's Shaiko.
He absolutely
it's
can.
It's Shaiko. It's just Shaiko. Of course he can. Heartbreak after heartbreak, because once this now starts to feel a little bit like our first series today, where it's one team that's starting to really run with it a little bit. And again, I feel sad for Genji, because that's 3 rounds in a row now where I like the idea they've had. You can see a set-piece play coming out, where they've isolated players on Falcons, where they've got a couple of kills, but the end result is just not going their way, despite all the things they do well in the first half of the round or first half of the execute. I'll try again here with that shield, the glass this time being brought along. All smokes in back pocket to play behind. We've got to see quality in the execute.
We've got to see, and I keep saying it, more value from those shields. 3v1 with a Monty on side. I would argue it's not enough value if you're not winning that 3v1. So, Azox, keep an eye on him. How much do they get done with or behind the Monty? No surprise to see Falcons not actually bother to ban it out. I was going to say that. Don't bother banning the second shield, because they're not winning rounds with it anyway. So, you know, take away something else. Take away a hard breach, maybe a thermite for that basement wall. Take away a Ying, something to execute behind. And yeah, I think Falcons have actually played that perfectly. So 5 versus 5 still, as we are a minute into the round. Only 5 drones left alive. Falcons have done some great work on the intel side of things, been able to remove a lot of that in the first minute of this round.
Great first nade coming in from Macko as well. Has fully forced the player out of coffin and let him get inside this part of the map. Completely uncontested and unbothered. Nade tossed out there. Good for Leakyfat to be able to dip away here ever so slightly. But look at that instantly. A challenge from Solotov, but that fire is going to give away his position. Macko knows he's being pushed, but Solotov just don't miss those. 5 of the best players in the world, Tim. Always going to be a hard ask.
I feel like Falcons were... Oh, this is not good. You're going into a problem. So,
what are we doing? What are we doing?
After just having to run as soon as his feet touch the ground, the kills come in. Prede finds him, and Skies is now in a 1v4. He had a great game on Bank, finds a 1v3, but pushed from both sides, shut down by Leakyfat, and Falcons go 4-0 up. I feel like Falcons weren't fully awake on Bank. They were making mistakes. They offered Genji some opportunities, and not getting that map won, I think, is really going to cost Genji, because right now they're against a more peak version of Falcons who are just running over them.
Yeah, and very understandably having their own time out here. You know, 4-0 down on your own map pick. It doesn't feel good.
No.
And I'll say it again, I feel pain for them, because they're not a team that are like waddling up here and being solely battered about by Falcons, and they're not offering any kind of contest. The ideas they've had are good. The strats they've tried to employ, I like what they're trying to do. You can see they're very clearly prepped for this series, and they're taking it very, very seriously, which is fantastic to see a team prep into that level. But it's just when it comes down to those little moments, when it comes down to Solotov pushing in towards Coffin despite you know it coming, when it's a 3 versus 1 against Shaiko and you still can't come out on top. Just all these little moments that if they were against a team that was kind of, and this sounds bad, but there was more their level, they probably would be able to come away the winner more often than not. That's how they managed to squeak their way into playoffs in the first place, let's not forget. But against one of the big boys, they are absolutely flailing. And I think to this point, Tim, we have 4 players on the side of Falcons that have 100% cost. They are absolutely cooking right now.
Yeah, they really are. I don't honestly know where Genji go from here, because even, you know, when they have those opportunities, the 3v1, it's like I said, I feel like the opportunity's already passed them by. I feel like if you were going to win a map, it was Bank, where Falcons weren't really quite as sharp as they normally are. They've woken up now, and you've got a serious problem. It's, you know, you've missed your opportunity, and Shaiko hitting a 1v3 with a Monty included just goes to make that point for me. If you're going to have opportunities like that as Genji and you can't get them done, you're in serious trouble against the Falcons side, who are just really now feeling confident. So 4-0, keep an eye on Shaiko. I'm going to say it now. He's looking for the spawn peak. He's on the score post. He's 8-1. Just keep an eye on him.
Keep an eye on him, like that's the easiest thing in the world to do, Tim. Come on now.
I think he's going to give us some teleportation magic at some point if they don't go in and find where that second shell is.
Absolutely. It's always like getting that high fantasy that you have for the operator, in the same way that other operators have certain moments that you just think of when you think of them. And one of those for the Skopos is getting that teleport up to the shell, then getting a hit on the flank. Is like, it's great to see, but so rarely do you get to see it actually happen. The IQ should be helping out with that, but as it stands, Genji keeping it pretty shallow, Tim. Not looking to push around the map, but mainly focused here on the breach itself. Away we go. Put themselves this up over the top. That's a nice little trick, actually. I like that. Rather than letting the 2 Brown freeze things off. I still think he's actually got away with this. They haven't opened the breach yet, because another one came through straight away. But it was a good way to potentially catch Falcons off guard.
If nothing else, it's bought you sort of about 15 seconds, really. Because obviously, otherwise, the auto canister that was on there would have held that wall for longer. So, if nothing else, it just gives you that little bit more freedom in the round. They are actually going to start pushing backside with the shield as well. Macko is going in there on the Monty. Falcons are aware of that. Breeder, I think, will be calling for help at that point. Leakyfat does manage to get Azot. Genji, you've got to be feeling for them at this point. He is downed in the process, but gets the headshot. It's 5 versus 3 now.
Oh, like, it just doesn't matter, does it? Like, no matter how much you try, you're not the ones coming out on top in these gunfights. Falcons move up once again to 5-0. I think all Genji can do is look on in horror here as they get absolutely decimated on Consulate.
It's not over for Genji yet. They do have the defensive half to come, but I would say...
Tim. I'm a big fan of the two halves of Siege theory, but
I would
don't
say
know.
that I think it's 90% over at this point. I think, you know, it's going to take a miracle for Genji to come back into this. And I don't say that because they're 5-0 down. I say that just because of the manner of which Falcons are winning these rounds. Like, they just look absolutely clinical at the minute. Whether that will continue on the attack, we know Consulate's not their favourite map, but the point is, if they get a 5-1, a 6-0 half, they need so little on the attack that it's just really not going to matter very much.
Yes. Yes. Not looking the prettiest of likelihoods for Genji to win this one. Of course, it's not all over if they lose here today. As a reminder, they do get to play again
10 seconds to insertion.
Tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, sorry, actually it's next week. On Monday, they play their next game. They'll be playing in the lower bracket against the loser of tomorrow's game, who, horror of horrors, actually, Tim, could be Falcons. If they lose their game tomorrow, so of course they win the series, they will be facing off against Genji or whoever the other losers of that game tomorrow. So they could actually have a rematch here and have to face this horror all over again in a week's time.
Not ideal. Not ideal for
that was almost horrific.
Shaiko again, just looking. We've already seen him having a look at the spawn peaks. Doesn't get any joy again. But if nothing else, it just puts you on the back foot, doesn't it? Straight away, Genji know what they're in for the rest of the round. They are going to make some good quick progress, get that meeting wall open. So just very aware of the possibility of a run out. I like that from Genji. Again, they're still paying the due diligence, still paying attention, making sure that they're not giving Falcons anything easy. The problem is that Falcons are quite equipped to take even the most difficult of chances at the minute.
They are. I'm probably feeling very emboldened with how things are playing out. So I just don't really see a way right now where Genji will be able to build up the confidence across even one round to get themselves battling in this half. Again, maybe like you say, when we switch sides, we'll see a bit of a difference building up. But we remarked on it earlier on, the attacking stats and the defensive stats between these teams. Falcons do kind of clear ahead at this point. Even when comparing their attacking side to Genji's defensive side, they still come out in the clear. But now we'll see how things play out. Falcons definitely enjoying roaming around the map. I think that ban away of the dock will be certainly helping them to be a little bit more free in pushing around the map. And also knowing that Genji have ran Monty the entire half, it does mean they're going to be quite slow. They can't push through with the blitz and be incredibly rapid in trying to push you down, for example. And so they're quite happy with the slower pace the game is playing at. They get to command the tempo a little bit further, get to take engagements where they want, rather than having Genji choose when they want to come away with them. Say that, Solotov gets a little bit too mobile and pays the price. Ace are getting out on the entry, who, for the most part, had a decent game. That's one on his team so far. More still to come as the gridlock goes down, forces these Falcons players back. They've got the control they needed him, but it's taken them 2 minutes to do so.
Ace waited for the longest time. We've got to give him some sort of medal for patience there. He was watching that meeting wall, whether it's a bit of intel they've had coming into it. Maybe they've seen Falcons try that before, but he got his reward at the end of it. Managed to pick up Solotov. 5 versus 4 now. The Monty's actually, I keep talking about the value of the shield, actually done really good work there as well. Forcing them back, forcing them to drop the hatch, getting that control over yellow. That's what you want your Monty to do. You want them to go in and push defenders around. Shaiko does manage to take down Macko. 4 versus 4. 20 seconds left to go. Des, it's now or never.
Gotta try and hold, boys. Not really enough time in which to work with here. They've got to get kills, and getting rid of Shaiko certainly not a bad one given how it's been playing so far. That now going down, but they start rounding their way through. Users getting one, but there's a second player. Good on the trades, but Brede up close. Gets a second and legs it. Run, Brede, run! Because Deadshot's got to chase him down. Will not find him in time. And he wins the round for his team yet again. Genji are in a commanding position late round and still manage to lose.
A second 1v3. Brede just dropping into the midst of the site there. The kill onto the Monty, taking him out and dropping that diffuser on the ground is the key moment there. And then you just feel like everything stacks up against Genji. Deadshot drops in and gets goo mined, so he can't even sprint to try and get to the diffuser, to try and get to a challenge on Brede. Everything was just stacked against them. 6-0 for Falcons. They just need to find one single attack.
Man. I've said it a lot. I'm a little bit heartbroken for Genji because they've played well across a good few of those rounds. And many will look at the scoreline and think, oh, awful team. Couldn't even get a single round, but they were far closer. We've had two very different games today. This isn't being a 7-0. On paper, Genji look like a worse team compared to Macko, who, let's be honest, were very much bullied around by Vertus Pro on both of their maps. A lot of the rounds weren't even close. But those 6 rounds there, not every single one, but a good few of them have been close. It really has been in the dying seconds where we've seen Genji come away the loser. Falcons extremely happy at this point. Another round, and this is theirs and done. This will be one of the fastest nights of the siege we've had in all of EML so far. Inside of 4 hours, we'll have done 2 best of 3s.
Yeah, it has, unfortunately, for the, we'll refer to them as the challengers, as that's how they've been discussed throughout. It's been an unfortunate night for them. It has been very one-sided towards those established teams, Falcons and Virtus Pro. But I also think that it's fair to say that's not down to these teams being new to EML or even necessarily down to their performance all the time. I'm not saying they've come out and played brilliant Siege, but I am saying that Falcons and Virtus Pro, for the most part, have actually played pretty much at the top of their game and have made it very, very difficult for these new teams in the best of 3s. So it's one of them. I think if you're Genji or Macko, you dust it off, you move on, you go next. If you're Falcons or Virtus Pro, you're very happy with your day's work.
All right, let's see if they get this one wrapped up here in a flawless fashion with a 7-0. In the cell started up onto this cubby wall already. We've got a laser pattern being drawn out for us. Tim, I'm sure you'll be delighted that it's not a laser gate you have to talk about this time round. And a wonderful play. There we go. League of Fat's got that in from below, and they've just been bullied around here. No contest to try and help the blitz out. Just completely paid the price there. Deadshot has gone down for free, and the wall is opened up in no time at all.
Yeah, that's great from Falcons.
Great play.
Just absolutely brilliant team play. The timing of it. And the kill came in with the skeleton key as well. He just basically shot one through and just kept on blasting away from underneath with that shotgun and managed to get himself the bandit. So, not only the bandit, but it also takes a nitro offline as well. And it's advantage Falcons. But they don't yet have any actual control of the map or site itself. They now need to start getting on inside.
I'll forgive you for that one, Tim. He's on the Zofia. I know normally he's on a buck, but it was a double impact from below. Yeah, proper like clubhouse style opening of the wall, that one. It's pretty magic. I know you're 40 years old now, mate, but you got no excuse.
No, I need to get the old eyes tested at that. That was...
I'm sure they'll still tell you, mate, they're still an absolute mess.
Yeah, they really are. Natural goes... Impact it goes out, not going to catch.
Nitro.
I'm thrown for a loop now, Des.
All right, what operator is this then, Tim?
I think this is Recruit. Is this Recruit?
Yeah, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, correct. What about this one? Or this one, take your pick. Here comes Nook up spiral stairs. He's hunting, he's waiting. Top yellow, he's got the right idea. There is one player holding off towards the side. Not 100% sure of it. 2 tracks still in back pocket, of course, as well. So can hunt down Azox here, who's still got all 3 smokes in back pocket, it's worth stressing.
Yeah, he needs to be keeping hold of those. I mean, until he knows where the push is coming from. As soon as he knows where that is going to be, we get a direct trade there. The Demos is going to be taken out. Till he knows where Breeder is going to be putting that down. But he should have a good idea of meeting door by now. So he's keeping an eye on Azox for that first smoke canister going out. He's kept him in pocket. They've been wasted as Solotov gets a really important kill. 3 versus 2 here. Solotov on another. And surely it's all over for Genji. It's going to be a 7-0. It's a triple kill for Solotov to close it out. And Falcons, they take an emphatic 2-0 win and move on in the playoffs.
Neither result tonight will surprise anyone. That one, you'll look at it on paper and see the 7-0, but you've got to acknowledge Genji there. They've really tried, and I hope we see some more out of them in that lower bracket. But as you say, Tim, an emphatic win that I'm sure our Dets cannot wait to speak about. Let's go to a break and head over to them soon.
there in time. Cameraman's going to complete. Big ET finds a huge 4K and Gitro. Their first. There's only 4 seconds left. There's no way.
Whilst not easy, is potentially winnable.
No.
They give him a 1v1 and they've given him both chances.
They find the down as well. Yesterday they took the crown from LA. Today they take the kingdom from Blackout.
Falcons end the series in 2 maps, and with what a statement on that final map. That's the first 7-0 we've had so far. This stage really showing up to what we were asking from them, showing that perfection.
Do you know what? I think we spent longer hearing from Ace of Pirate about his garden and his berries and whatever else he's got going on than we spent inside of this map, because Falcons absolutely obliterated Genji. It was a great performance. There was a couple of clutches thrown in there as well, but they were confident, they were aggressive, they were holding their positions. We challenged them to be better in map 2 than they were in map 1, and they rose to that challenge and more.
That kill with the banditry.
I was actually only saying it the other day. I was saying it off camera, but we've not seen a double Sophia impact in a long time for a kill. We finally saw one today.
And I think it's just one more example, right? There's the skill with the Zofia impacts. There's the clutches, yes, of course. But in general, what were we saying before this? We were saying we need them to go back to the fundamentals, starting in defense on control. Will help that, because they don't need to be proactive, they need to be reactive. We look at this, utter domination. Not a single player on the side of Genji is in positive. Shaco is on double digits again, 10 and 3.
Yep.
177 ABS.
Yeah, that's insane. And that has to do with like consistent kills across all 7 rounds, plus a clutch, a 1v3 clutch as well. You know, looking at this entire matchup, what are the key things to take away? I think clearly we see the gap between Genji and a team of the Big Four, especially Falcons, historically the best team in Europe. We will praise Genji for what they brought to the table. On bank especially. Yes, it was a 7-0 on the second map, but on the first one, they were actually bringing Falcons to the verge of defeat with some clutches.
Yep.
And then obviously, I guess you can't just attack against Falcons on control. Fnatic didn't do it, you can't do it either.
Yeah, it's unfortunately a very similar story to match 1, which is that as much as each team kind of does have their issues in Falcons and VP in terms of the fact they finished 3rd and 4th and not the top 2 as we kind of expected, they are still head and shoulders better than the team that they were facing in terms of Genji and obviously Macko for VP. As we see the scoreboard here, one player that I do actually want to point out, and he's not on the winning team, and this is just before we get on to Falcons, is Asa. I think he's had a pretty difficult stage. He's been pretty much consistently the lowest rated player on Genji. Today, he was actually better. He was very instrumental in banker on the Ying, holding down the flanks on the main stairs, particularly for the basement attacks. Yeah. He had a great series in both of the maps, actually, even though he did get 7-0'd in the second map. So just wanted to highlight him particularly.
Playing the worst roles as well. And once again, we'll praise Skies as well as, I guess, the standout players ever since Genji has really regained some momentum. But obviously on the side of Falcons, I mean, we're looking at some of the best individuals we have in this. Let's take a few examples of the clutches that we've seen on Control, especially start with this 1v3 incredible play from Shaco, getting into a position where he just takes that gunfight, wins it, pushes the Monty away with the Go Mine, then takes another gunfight, instant headshot. At this point, he's stuck the Monty on the Go Mine. He's now forcing him to go and chase him, puts the Go Mine so that he knows where he was going to go.
Constant pinging.
Incredible. And then look at Brida here, Jack.
Yeah, again, another 1 versus 3. Just, it was a big individual moment, and I suppose that's how you know that Falcons were reaching the flow state. Was even in those rounds where they were seemingly losable rounds, they managed to find a win. Shaco was smiling. It was honestly great, and I think that's where we saw Falcons know that their fundamentals were going well, and that's where we want to see Falcons clutching in the rounds that, you know, they could lose, not clutching to stay in the game, and that's what we kind of have seen from them across the stage. This map particularly was a lot better.
Can't believe European analysts put Brida on €1 on their pick'ems. That's just so dumb. I don't see that's. I don't know. I don't know who did that.
I think it was Anne.
I put him on my team. Of course. Hello, why would you not? Steal. €1.
Oh, we both had Shepard, didn't we?
Yeah, I had Nikafak, so I couldn't pick Brida.
I had Shaco.
Cool. It's nice being right. I mean, especially what we saw with these individual moments and these clutches on the side of Falcons here. But with that 7-0 and the closure of the series, we get to speak to them, as we should be joined by users on the interview here to ask him a few questions. Users, congratulations on the series win there. It was a very fast second map. Did you expect it to be that dominant today, though?
Not really. I think it's a bit of a classic where your own map pick is sometimes harder than what the other team picks. Happens quite a lot of the time for us and probably a lot of other teams as well.
I think your bank has looked a little bit harder across the few last plays. What do you guys miss against G2 to take that map? Because they broke a really long win streak for you guys on that map.
I think the G2 game, we didn't adapt very well in the game, which is why we lost. I think we made a lot better of adaptations against Genji, so we came away with the 7-4.
How do you think the team play's been, users? Because I suppose for us on the desk, we see these big individual moments, right? And of course, every player on your roster can have them. Do you think that the team play has been something that's been maybe a little bit lacking this stage?
I could maybe agree. Like before, I think that Genji game, it was good. Like the Brady 1v3, for example.
Yeah.
I think he only gets that 1v3 because of the team play. Like we all pushed together at the same time, so there was a gap for him to push and kill the Monty, and then that like opened up that. I think the Schalke one was individual skill, obviously, but I think our team play was a lot better in this game than it was in the regular stage. I agree.
Is that something that you've been specifically, I suppose, working on ahead of this game then?
Not really. I think it's just best of 3 in playoffs gets us a bit more like hyped and wanting to win, and you can like you have the first map to wake up a bit. We usually start slow on the first map always. So.
Fair enough.
Obviously, tomorrow you've got a really important game on the line. It's about the SI points, about prize money, it's about the invite to EWC. You're playing against a team that you've played against a lot in the last few years. You're playing against Secret, a team that always somehow manages to find to play against you, but during the group stage it was a 7-2. So that was rather easy for you guys. How are you feeling about the match you've got coming up tomorrow?
I'm excited. We do play Secret a lot. I feel like them and VP, I feel like we play them all the time. So maybe if we beat Secret, it'll be VP again. I feel like we just played those guys so much. So yeah, I'm excited.
I think users, whenever you play these guys, I think if I look at the match history, I don't know why, but in my head, you guys always demolish them. Almost always. There were some examples of that. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you guys almost always beat them?
I have no idea. I don't know, actually. I have no idea. I can't answer that.
You're just better. That's it.
Maybe.
I guess we're going to find out tomorrow if that's the case and why you continuously beat them. Users, thank you so much for your time and good luck with the important match tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you.
Some good insights we're getting once again.
I wish I knew why I was beating those teams, but I don't.
I mean, hey, if it works, it works, I guess. But yeah, that's why we said I guess we're finding out tomorrow if, again, they can replicate that result. Because, yeah, when we talk about the matches for tomorrow, obviously we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. That is going to be a classic once again. We've seen these two teams play against each other a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, Users is probably right in saying that they've played Virtus.pro and Secret a lot. And I think that's the way that our playoffs work with the double elimination bracket.
Yeah.
There's a world where we end up seeing our top 4 teams basically play each other all the way through this double elimination until somebody ends up in the grand final. There's a lot more of Falcons versus Secret, and you know, as you can see here, like just theory crafted it for just a second, okay? So whoever loses in the G2 Virtus.pro game will go down and play match 7 against Genji, and then whoever loses in the Secret Falcons game will go down and play in match 4 against Macko, presuming. And again, because both of the games today were blowouts, as you can see, 2-0s, assuming the favourites win, then we're going to have a full double elimination full of our top 4 teams, which personally, I cannot wait to watch because I love watching all of these top teams go against each other. Like tomorrow's games already. I cannot wait.
I struggle to understand the way the format works because how is Falcons and VP, I guess, rewarded for winning that match? Because if they lose, they're back exactly where Macko and Genji are.
Yeah.
So basically winning WO3 meant nothing if they lose tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting.
The bracket switches as well there, as far as I recall.
Yeah, they would play the opposite opponent, but yeah, I mean, in reality, it's kind of a modified double elim. That if you lose the semi-final, you go back to a quarter-final, essentially. And, you know, but the 2 chances are obviously the invite to EWC, I guess, is the main.
Yeah.
Whereas Macko and Genji only get 1.
Yeah, that's basically it. So now they're in front of 2 BO3s. If they win a single one, and they're guaranteed the invite. And
also, in theory, when we get to stage 2, it'll be the same effect for a major as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's being closer to that end goal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if we're looking at the matches for tomorrow, and once again, keeping in mind, we do start earlier tomorrow. Our first game is at 3 p.m. CEST, and then we'll have our games following up after that. And once again, on our rolling schedule, we saw how that ended up today, because we ended up with a very, very fast day. But if I look at the games for tomorrow, I don't think it's going to be a very fast day, because look at the games and the teams that are playing against each other. It's to set us up for bed.
I'm already wanting to start tomorrow's pre-show right now, but I genuinely, I think you could make a pitch for every single one of these teams to win their respective game tomorrow, go to sleep, wake up, and make a pitch for the opposite team to win it. That's how close I think both of these games are.
Jack, you can make a pitch for any of these 4 teams to be the kings of Europe.
Yeah, 100%.
Honestly,
so close.
We've been looking at these 4 teams developing and getting much better, and I think that is the biggest reason why we see such a big gap between the top 4 and the 2 other teams remaining in those playoffs. But it's also the best test for us, I guess, to see these teams face off in BO3s.
Yep.
It will be the first time this stage, and I think this is the moment where you can really reveal the level your team is at compared to international level, because we all know that these 4 teams all can compete to the top 8 in the world against some of the best Americans and Brazilian teams and APAC teams as well. So tomorrow is a real test scenario.
It really is.
Yeah, it will be. Obviously, you know, with a lot of the on the line tomorrow for these teams, and then the ones that have moved through in the upper bracket already, you know, having less than 24 hours to prepare, really. But how's your tattoo looking, Leo? It's actually developing already, isn't it?
It's getting some color.
Can we get a zoom in on
this? It's looking dirty and it's not looking great. But it's getting better. It's getting more
there we go.
visible. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Oh, you can start to see it.
Yeah, we're starting to see it. So it should continue developing throughout the night. Yeah, I think he likes it, kinda. Thank you, Ace. I appreciate it.
You gotta rub his head for good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right.
So yeah, hopefully we check on the arm, on the forearm tomorrow during the pre-show. We'll see where it's at. And I absolutely regret.
I don't think you can shower it, by the way. Like, I think you're gonna have to be like that out of the shower.
Do I really have to do that? Because I like to joke about Frenchmen and cleanliness, but I do like to take showers every day. Especially
you can also have like a one-handed shower, just arm in the air, just going. Yeah.
So this turned into a bet where I don't have to wash myself anymore, and I have an excuse to stink on broadcast.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, the viewers can't smell you. It's just me and Anne.
Yeah. Okay, and myself as well.
I guess there's a lot for us to unfold tomorrow about some subjects I guess we should really not talk about on stream, and obviously the development of your tattoo, but more importantly, the 3 best of 3s we have for tomorrow, because they're going to be absolute bangers when we look at the teams that are playing against each other. For now, it is the end of our first day of the playoffs. We thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you again tomorrow.
All right, Joker, do you have the data from Rio in here somewhere?
Yeah, look, it's all there.
Ah, okay. So when it comes to the hey, Joker?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
As I was saying, we have to look at what's ahead of us now and not worry too much about the past.
Did you see that?
What? No. No, I don't see anything. Besides, we're supposed to be the only people here right now. Hello? Anybody out there? Yeah, this time I hear that. We need to go. Right now.
Wait, what is this doing here?
It's not a big deal. I mean, someone's just playing games with us. Like, this doesn't belong here. Whoa, look at this.
What?
Come over here.
Wait.
Come over here. This is awesome. Now, I love this.
This is a privilege to be here. They are the best of the best.
I wonder what it's like to be so good that your name, your jersey up on this wall. I mean, you gotta be the GOAT.
You have to be, but we should get back to work.
Whoa, what the hell is going on?
Guys, we need to go.
Jess, what are you doing here?
We need to go now.
Where?
Look sharp. The emotion is here.
Jess, Doc is gone. We have to go back.
There's no time. There's really no time.
Guys, wait. Can't take this anymore. I'm tired.
damn it, Jess. He's our head coach. I have to go save him.
Okay, Pengu, stop.
I have
We
to
can't
go.
save him anymore. Pengu! Oh.
You're already dead.
There's no escaping now.